Ready to race for the Sylvania 300, round 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Ready to race for the Sylvania 300, round 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on what's turned into a delightful 73-degree afternoon here in New Hampshire. The radar looks great. The forecast improving as we go, even a little blue sky popping out. They're going to have to move that trophy in a minute because it's time for the race to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we're moments away. 43 of the planet's most talented racers are ready to battle here at the Magic Mile in front of today's sold-out crowd. The Fraternal Order of Go Fast. They're strapped in and ready to go. Here to give the command to start engines for today's race, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President and CEO of us from Sylvania, Yes Hansen.
Drivers, start your engines!
Fired up when you're ready, man. Well, Frank, I got you loud and clear. All right.
Listen to those fans yell. Great to see, and we're ready to race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 300 laps around the Magic Mile in race 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Our ESPN in-race reporter on the day is a driver who needs a big day if he's going to get past the challenge around at the end of next Sunday's Dover race. We'll talk with Eric Almirola, driving Richard Petty's famous 43, when he rolls out on the pace laps next. In mere seconds, you will see the pace car begin to roll and the field start to head out onto the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the beginning of race 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, today's Sylvania 300. So after last Sunday's Chicago round, Brad Keselowski advances through by virtue of his victory automatically to the second round of the chase. And look at the group of drivers bunched from 10th place Casey Kane back to 14th place AJ Allmendinger. That's 5 drivers within 5 points of that 12th place cutoff line to advance on into the next round. Something certainly to watch as we go through the afternoon. 16th place Eric Almirola, the late engine failure at Chicagoland. He's got some work to do. If he's going to make up some of that ground, he's going to have to do it today. Aboard Richard Petty's 43 from 21st starting spot. He's our ESPN in-race reporter.
Hey, Eric, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, Eric. Hey, thanks for talking with us today. Eric, we're going to go to our mailbag question first, and pretty much everybody that wrote in had the same question for you after last week's issues. So we chose Brian from Booth Bay Harbor, Maine's question. What will it take from you this week for you to stay in the chase, and how much are you willing to gamble to make that happen?
Well, it's going to take a lot. I appreciate your question, Brian. We're going to have to run top 5 the next 2 weeks for sure. I mean, we'd love to win and guarantee our way to the next round, but what we can't do is have another weekend like Chicago. We gotta run really good, which we're capable of. We proved that last weekend at Chicago, and we just got to run the best we can and score max points. We'd love to get out of here with a top 5 and be within 7 or 8 points of the top 12 in points, and I think that's a realistic goal for us, and then we can make something happen at Dover. So we'll just have to wait and see. Our Smithfield Ford Fusion this weekend's been pretty good on balance. We just need a little bit more speed.
Okay, Eric, hey, we know this is a tough racetrack here. The drivers talk about it all the time. The flat corners make it difficult, but if you're going to get that top 5 finish that you need, what part of the corner do you need your car to be the very best at?
All of it. This place is tough. You spend so much time on the corners. You spend more time in the corners than you do on the straightaway, which is unlike most of the racetracks we go to. So you got to have a car that gets in the corner comfortably, rolls across the center real nice and free, and drives up off the corner straight with a lot of forward drive. So that makes Trent Owen's job really tough, and my engineers, but we can do it. We've got the balance really close on the car this weekend at times, and the speed's a little bit off. But in the past few weeks, we've kind of seen that same trend, and we've had cars capable of running the top 5, top 10 in the race. So hopefully we can do that again and get this old Smithfield ham cam up front so you guys have something to talk about.
All right, Eric. Hey, thanks for talking with us. You have a great day out there. We'll look forward to talking with you later on. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Trent Owens. We'll see if he can get him hooked up on getting your car perfect for you.
Hey, Trent Owen, Andy Petrie up here. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, Trent, you guys had a great run last week, and with that failure that you had, it did set you back. But your goals this season, you've made the chase. What are the goals for the rest of the season now? I mean, is it to make this next cut, or what is the ultimate goal for your team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a blessing we got the chase and trying to do the best we can. You know, we'd love to transfer to the next round, but you know, the way the point system's set up, 5th place through 16th is achievable all the way to Homestead. So I don't think we can get too aggressive on strategy. I think we got to keep maximizing our points, and you know, some of these other chase guys could have some bad luck here today, put them in the same spot that we're in. So we'll definitely concentrate on wins just like we do every week, but we still got to get our points because you know, we could get up there. If we don't transfer through the first round of the chase, we could definitely still finish 5th or 6th in points, so we got to concentrate on that. Thank you.
Okay, let you go right now. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck, Trent.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Quick look at the high-definition onboard cameras we have for you today. Brad Kozlowski's got the Ford EcoBoost camera. Clint Boyer, the 5-hour energy on board. Joey Logano, our Shell Pennzoil camera. And Jeff Gordon has the Goodyear on board. Ryan Newman, the Quicken Loans camera. Eric Almirola, the Smithfield on board. Jimmy Johnson has our Chevy on board. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. has our Sprint onboard camera. 300 laps, a little over 300 miles around this track that measures a shade over a mile around. Brad Kozlowski, the pole sitter, has chosen the outside lane for the start. Remember, the second lane of the racetrack slightly more banky than that very bottom lane has. Ready to go with race 2 in the chase. Kozlowski leads lap 1. Denny Hamlin up to second. Jamie McMurray, a little trouble getting going from that inside lane. Now back in third. Here's Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick first side by side. That'll be back for 6th and 7th.
Yeah, that Jamie McMurray not getting going very well on that start. Probably hurt Kevin Harvick as much as anyone else there. He lost a couple of spots, but we'll see. He says his car's good enough to go forward and make some passes.
Kyle Busch, and now this sounds unusual. Kyle Busch able to get up into that outside lane in behind Kyle Larson in front of Joey Logano to grab a spot.
Yeah, the start and restarts, we've said this a number of times at this flat racetrack, so difficult for these drivers. You're on very low air pressures, especially in the left side tires. Makes it very, very difficult to find the grip that you're looking for, so you really have to get up on the wheel for these first 4 or 5 laps.
Matt Kenseth, Dale Jr., 20.88.
It's all about mid-corner speed. Right there you saw how the 5 car of Casey Kane just a little bit quicker through the middle of the corner, and then Dale Jr. makes a pass.
Saw Casey Kane this morning there, the driver of that 5 car. He was very optimistic of something they found in the last 20 minutes of practice that could put them in contention here today.
Good look at the cars hopping over that bump headed towards turn 3 there that Rusty was talking about in Countdown, where the road course that runs from inside to outside the track that they use for motorcycles and sports cars crosses the pavement.
It's always been pretty rough right in that section. I'm not sure if it's the setups this year that make that look worse, but it does seem to be a little worse than it's been over the last few years.
Jamie McMurray, a non-chase spoiler perhaps. He and Kyle Larson both ran so well last week at Chicagoland.
Not only there, but they've run well. We saw Jamie at Bristol and run extremely well in other places. He's really excited. I was talking to Jamie in the garage area yesterday, and he's really excited about what this race team is doing, the cars that they're putting on the racetrack and putting under him. He feels like that he or Kyle will win in these last 9 races.
We'll look back through the top 10 there. Clint Boyer on board with Clint. Always someone to watch here at New Hampshire, one of his best tracks.
Yeah, there's certainly 2 or 3 outside of those 16 chasers that we have that are very capable. You see Brian Vickers there in the 55 runs well here. He was excited about his chances. Boyer, someone you always have to look at having a chance to win. And of course we talked about Jamie McMurray.
Now Jeff Gordon trying to get a spot on Boyer. Gordon qualifying further back in the pack than he wanted to. Started the race in 13th spot. Just took the 11th position away from Boyer. And this is a team that thinks they have a good race car and can contend for the win today, but they're going to have to pass some cars on the track and get the strategy right to be there.
Yeah, that 24 car's been good all year long. I'll be surprised if they don't make their way up and be able to pass some of these cars to get there the old-fashioned way, just race by them.
Yeah, he did something yesterday in practice, that final practice session, and that was go out late in the session and actually set the fast time there and then made a longer run, and the car looked extremely well, like they had come on to something that worked really well for them. So Jeff was excited about his chances.
Remember the yellow windshield banners, yellow roof numbers, and that yellow front splitter, the 16 cars that are in the chase, carrying those. Kurt Busch there, Ryan Newman, Dale Jr., 3 in line. So adorned. And now Kurt in that 41, running in 13th place with Newman and Dale Jr. in 14th and 15th. While the cars are running on the track, there is some action down on pit lane. Doc?
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's pit has some sealer that's been put down to fill a crack. It's about 3 or 4 inches wide, and that sealer there is very slippery. So the guys, that's Ron Malik, the car chief, and others out there with grinders trying to grind the sealer up. They tried to spray it with some tacky device. It wasn't good enough. When you tried to pivot on it, you would slip and slide. They're grinding it here in the pits while their driver is grinding on the racetrack. We're going to find out at lap 35 when that competition yellow just how slippery this pit stall is going to be.
There's a couple things there. I mean, one of them obviously is the footing. You want to have good traction for the pit crew members to make the turns around the car, but also to get the car to launch out of the pit stall, because the competition is so close down there. These pit stops are within tenths of seconds. So just getting that extra bit of traction out of the pit stall can make a big difference.
And Doc alluded to that NASCAR has added a competition caution at lap 35 in this one because of some of the overnight rain. And so the teams will get their first scheduled look at their cars a little bit from now. Brad Keselowski won the race here in July, started on pole today, and has led all the laps so far. New Hampshire Motor Speedway on a beautiful 73-degree, almost last day of summer afternoon here in northern New England. The Sylvania 300 just underway with Brad Keselowski leading all of the laps from pole position so far. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has enhanced action today, live from here in New Hampshire. Check it out. You will find it there. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Brad Keselowski in the race here back on July the 13th. Led a lot of laps, but continually was shuffled back by pit strategy. Every time he was shuffled back under green, he was able to overcome it and race back to the front. Then he came out here this weekend and won practice on Friday, won the pole on Friday, won the first practice on Saturday, and had a lot of folks saying, boy. But I say this, certainly no jinx on Brad, but how many times have we seen the fastest car not always win?
Yeah, especially at this racetrack. There's a fast race car. Jeff Gordon certainly making his way towards the front, able to pass cars. But you're right. Yeah, Brad, they've got things, and they've got everybody scratching their head. You know, I talked to Denny Hamlin a little bit, and I said, how's it going? He said, well, it's going pretty good. He said, we've improved, but we're still doing the same thing that we were doing when we left here in July, and that's chasing the 2 car. Yeah. So everybody's looking. Everybody that went around to, all of them had a picture on their computers of that 2 car, what it looked like on the straightaway, in the corners. They're just trying to figure out what it is. Is it something that they can visibly see?
They've definitely figured something out, and it's not just at these flat racetracks like here. He's really good. They're good everywhere, and I don't know what they've stumbled across, but whatever it is, it's not just to a short track or even the mile and a half. It works everywhere.
That's not to say that the driver's not a big part of that, too. He's absolutely doing the job, Brad Keselowski.
Big part of it.
Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, 4th place.
Now watch that battle a little bit. Harvick has just inched lap after lap, just a little bit closer to the 48.
I found some of Jimmy's comments here this weekend fascinating when he was asked about the mood of his team. He said, it's not the best mood. He said, we expect to operate at a higher level. We're not where we want to be, but there's still time. And Jimmy verbalized something for the first time publicly that a lot of folks in the garage have talked about, how rules packages tend to sway a car one way or the other, and this particular rules package has set the car in a tighter mode, if you will, than it was before, and that Jimmy always likes to drive a car that's much freer, and he struggled, as he put it, to get my head around that.
Well, it's a relative thing when you talk about that, and this package this year has more downforce. The cars are really planted in the racetrack. They've got over 2,500, closer to 3,000 pounds of downforce on these cars, and that changes the way the car acts. It changes the way it drives, and I think that for Jimmy, he can drive any of these cars fast. But that kind of package plays maybe into somebody else's hands a little better than a low downforce package.
Brings a lot more people and drivers into the mix, because when you solve a problem that they were having where they didn't have that downforce and that feel that they were looking for to rely on, they couldn't get it done there. This helped them get to that, and it brought the competition closer to them, and therefore they've had a more difficult time of getting Jimmy exactly what he's looking for. And again, it's more cars and drivers that they're having to outrun.
159 miles an hour at the end of the straightaways on our Pennzoil telemetry.
Think of how fast that is.
Yeah, on a mile track.
1 mile flat racetrack. You don't have banking to keep you going and rotating through the center of the corner. It's just amazing what they're doing here.
So this a big day for Jimmy to try and establish a little momentum in this championship. Qualified well in the 48 car, started in 6th position, and Jimmy running in 4th right now in the early going. That competition yellow just around the corner. Actually around about 18 corners for these drivers and teams. But that'll happen in a hurry, so we'll be back for it. The early going in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Sylvania 300, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, with Brad Keselowski out in front and approaching a competition caution. Good look down on the Magic Mile from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Look at the cars and the campers around this place.
Yeah, got a huge crowd here today. Turn out to see exciting race here this afternoon.
So there's your leader, Brad Keselowski, in some lap traffic as you see. There's Denny Hamlin in 2nd, McMurray, the green car, 3rd, Harvick ahead of Johnson now. They traded that position. And here's Joey Logano trying to fend off a hard-charging Jeff Gordon, who's gained 3 spots in 6 laps to get up to 7th place.
Tighten up quite a bit as soon as I get up front here for cleaner air. Need a little drive off sometime. About a 1 tight in the center. On to sun popped out at the same time. I mean, not intense, but more. Be just 30 racetrack. Copy that.
Okay, so Crew Chief Todd Gordon chiming in on the end. Copy that. Does that mean I hear you, or does that mean I agree with what you're saying?
Well, I think a little of both in this case. Sometimes this goes the other way. Sometimes you say, okay, I copy you.
Yeah.
And then you make your own decision, but I think it was both ways.
So Logano working to the inside of David Stremme in the 33. Stremme a lap down in 38th position. How about the charge for Jeff Gordon here in this opening segment of the race?
Well, it looks really good once again. Was a little surprised on Friday when they didn't have more speed, because that's the one thing that we've seen out of this 24 car this year that's made him a favorite on a lot of people's grids to go on and win the championship. But they certainly found it here in practice and now in the race.
And there's your competition caution. Coming out after the leader completes the 35th lap of the race. David Reagan should be the free pass as the first car a lap down in the first round of pit stops coming up in a moment. Quick reminder tonight, you can see the finals of the AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals from Dallas. Been a busy weekend with the dragsters finishing up the Carolina round plus the Texas round. 8:30 Eastern tonight on ESPN2. And next weekend, we're on to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. Nationwide Series Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race 3 in the chase and the final race in the Challenger round. Who gets eliminated? Our telecast presented by Pennzoil starts next Sunday at 1 Eastern from Dover. So 36 laps in. Fuel range here is about 75 laps. We'll see a lot of strategy played on this one.
Well, it'll be a lot of 2 tires. Let's just call it that. I think it's going to be really busy. You're going to see 32 cars on the lead lap making right side stops. That's always carries a little bit of risk to it.
Yeah, always that chance of some contact on pit road trying to get in and out of your pits. Have to be careful. You don't want to damage a fender and have to come back in.
Here they are, Doc.
McMurray loose off, needs some wedge there. Also problem with the middle of the corner, too tight. You're going to make track bar adjustment and air pressure. Jimmy Johnson, top of your screen. Right side tires for Jimmy Johnson. Tight in the middle of the turn, especially in 3 and 4. Chassis adjustment. Mike.
Quick stop for Denny Hamlin. Right side's only in a track bar adjustment. He was loose, Jamie.
Brad Keselowski's led every lap so far, staying a little bit free all over. They want to go 4 tires each stop because they feel their car is fast enough as his teammate and the rest of the field pass him. He's still in his pit box.
Same thing Paul Wolfe did in the July race here, and each time Brad Keselowski was able to overcome it. This time it's going to knock him outside the top 10 as we look at our Pennzoil race off pit road. Well, well. Now we'll find out.
We'll see how good he is now.
Yeah, we'll see whether he can pass cars this one. Half a lap for the restart. Denny Hamlin is the new leader of the Sylvania 300. A lot of the front runners changing just 2 tires. Brad Keselowski changed 4, goes from 1st to 15th.
Just like the spring, huh? See that? Figure now's the time to know, right?
Well, that is exactly the way it happened in July here.
Well, he's way back there this time, though.
Yeah. But nothing to lose for them, especially. Good opportunity to see just how many cars they can pass in a row.
Joey Logano, 3 wide to the bottom.
Oh, contact with McMurray there and Jimmy Johnson.
Now 4 wide. Gordon kind of backed out of that 4 wide move.
Now McMurray and Brian Vickers with a little clunk and thunk.
And McMurray having a tough time on the 2 start and restart here so far.
Well, they're not making it easy on him. He's getting hit on both sides.
3rd place, Logano and Kyle Busch, 22 and 18. Kyle able to hold on to that spot. It's Brian Vickers right behind them in 5th. Then Jimmy Johnson and Jamie McMurray. Wow, look at Jimmy with his hands full there.
Boy, that was big right there. See all the time that he lost and how many people put him right there to his bumper.
Matt Kenseth to the inside. That's Dale Jr. to Kenseth's outside. Watch the hands inside the windshield here.
Whoa. Well, he's busy there for a minute.
See, when we see those drivers' gloves working like that, I feel justified in saying gloves saving a beauty. Dale Jr. running in 9th. Matt Kenseth right behind him in 10th. The pressure point in the pack here.
See back here where Brad Keselowski is. I saw Brad just decide coming off turn 2 to get out of the gas. They'd been 2 and 3 wide in front of him and around him the whole time. And like he just decided to let this kind of settle down until they could get single file and then start trying to pass people.
Well, he's back to 22nd place now. And Paul Menard there working on him while he works on Casey Kane.
Yeah, there's no way 4 tires are going to be able to overcome the track position they lost during that round. I know they don't have anything to lose in this experiment, but I don't see any way they're going to get back to the front anytime soon with that kind of strategy.
Well, I really thought they could with as good a car as what he had, but what I saw on that restart, no, it's going to be impossible because everybody running side by side. How about it, Jamie?
Well, I talked to Paul Wolf, the crew chief, this morning, and he said their plan was to take fourth. It was an experiment to see how far back, but he also said we can't fall back farther than 10th place. Well, as you see, Brad's back there. The spotter telling him right now, we're in a hornet's nest. Just be patient. We're farther back than we were in the spring.
Yeah, he is. So while you watch Brad, here's what happened in the July race. At lap 113, they took 4. And note how many more laps were on the tires than this time when they stopped at 37. At 113, they took 4, went from 1st to 9th, came back to the lead. At 139, they came back to the lead at 139. At 154, they took 4, went back to 12th, came back to the lead at 177. At 213, they took 4, went from 1st to 8th, came back to the lead at 230. And then on the last pit stop, took just rights because a lot of people just took fuel only, went from 1st to 9th, and came back to the lead. But nowhere in that time was he as far back as 22nd.
Yeah, and you're talking about 35 laps. So that's not many laps on the left side. So there's not, by changing those lefts, they didn't gain very much, if anything, that I've seen.
They'll have to really have this to cycle through probably an entire run and get to green flag pit stops for them to make up any time and get themselves back inside the top 10.
Yeah, they'll spend a better part of a half a race making that back up.
Remember a few years ago when Denny Hamlin kind of called his shot, started way back like 32nd or something after a problem in qualifying, said no problem, we'll get there. He was asked about that in his press conference here the other day, and he said, yeah, the only problem is I look and I think like Brad Keselowski's driving my car. The way that Brad's looked and the way Denny felt at the time, but Denny's out front right now, 50 laps in. He's got Kevin Harvick behind him, and after a summer's conversation of where's the speed from Joe Gibbs Racing, Hamlin's running first, Kyle Busch is running fourth, and Matt Kenseth is running 10th. There's your leader of the Sylvania 300, Denny Hamlin, out in front of Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, and Brian Vickers after the opening round of pit stops in this one. Don't forget, later on today in the second half of the race, our NASCAR nonstop coverage presented this day by 5 Hour Energy. There are the top 10 you just saw come racing through. Hamlin, Harvick, Logano, Kyle Busch, Brian Vickers, then McMurray, Gordon, Johnson, Earnhardt Jr., and Kenseth. That's Mike Wallace in the 66 today, being put a lap down by the leaders. Harvick appearing to creep in a little bit on Hamlin here in this last 6 or 7 laps.
Yeah, especially in this part of the racetrack right here, you can see he's just about a half a width higher most of the time down here in turns 3 and 4. Kind of lets the car go up, gets a big run off the corner. Looks like he's been beating the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, just a little bit on that end. They're pretty similar down in turns 1 and 2. And that's the case here most of the time. You want to be pretty close, even though you see Harvick there utilizing a little higher line on this end, too.
Kevin Harvick was talking the other day about all the conversation about winning and how much you're going to have to win and so on, and thinking maybe that was being a little overstated, that you could get your way all the way through this championship without necessarily having to win. I'll ask you, psychologically, you've led as many laps as Harvick has led, and you've been a factor in so many races, and yet haven't taken home a trophy since April in Darlington. How important is it, if you want to be the champion, to win one of these and close the deal?
I think extremely important. You know, you can say that, and you try to say and be as positive as you can as a driver in that, hey, we're doing exactly what we want to do. We can get ourselves all the way there to Homestead. But you know in your mind that you need to close at least one of these races out to show yourself and your team that you can do this.
Well, and he might be saying that, but he was doing a lot of talking with his race car last week in Chicago. He showed me how much he wants to win. He was trying very, very hard to pass Kyle Larson and win that race. I can see the want to. They've had some situations that's kept him from winning, but this is definitely a winning race car.
Now, Kevin also said this weekend that you can't force winning. He said it's hard enough to win one of these even on your best days, and that's ever so true. But I come back to something Brad Keselowski told us during the rain delay during qualifying Friday at Chicago, where he said he thinks you might have to win the Homestead finale to win this championship. And I can't disagree.
I don't disagree at all. Matter of fact, I said back in January when they came out with this, and a number of fans were saying, hey, we don't think it's right. You know, you can go down there and you wouldn't have to win that race. You see Eric Almirola making a pass there on Kurt Busch. But I said from the beginning, I believe that in going there with the 4 best drivers and teams at Homestead, you're going to pretty much have to win the race. You can't go there with any other strategy other than the fact that we better win this race or we're not going to be the champions.
Almirola and Kurt Busch exchanging a spot, as you saw. That was 15th place, and Kevin Harvick continuing to creep in on Denny Hamlin for the race lead.
See, now Hamlin's moved up just a little bit, maybe seeing that groove that Harvick's running.
I think it's between doing that and trying to get a little bit of the air off the nose of that 4 car where he can't get back to the gas. You can see where Harvick really got back to the gas quicker and was able to run up there to Denny. So Kevin said, I'll just take what you're going to give me then and see if I can make that work.
Yeah, and just behind them, and Joey Logano is starting to inch a little closer to him while they're racing.
You know, Logano had a great run going here back in July also, and had an issue with a lap car there. He could have been a factor at the end of that race too. So he was excited about being back here and see if they could close the deal.
I think second was a bad luck place to be in the July race here for a while, right? Joey Logano was running second when he had the problem with the lap car and crashed. Kevin Harvick was running second at the green-white checker restart when he ran out of gas. And getting ready for the green-white checker restart, Jeff Gordon was the one running second when he ran out of gas.
It almost wasn't the place to be right there off turn 2 because he came close to the wall.
Yeah, it looked like the 11 and the 4 lost the back end off turn 2.
Big C Denny's kick out, and Kevin's a little bit more.
Update on Harvick from Mike.
And I got to say, I'm not all that surprised to see what just transpired with the 4, considering the conversation I had with Rodney Childers after practice yesterday. He said they were chasing the balance quite a bit and were very loose. That's the way they started this race, too. Very loose, but Harvick searched around looking for a groove. They went to work on that car during the competition caution, made an air pressure adjustment, dropped the track bar 1 round, did right sides only. He felt like it tightened it up a little bit, but obviously not quite enough, guys.
Well, they'll get another chance at it in a little bit here.
Yeah, hadn't stopped his driver from staying in the gas, though.
No, sir. So Kevin Harvick continuing to try and find a way around Denny Hamlin for the race lead. Going to put David Reagan a lap down. David did indeed get the free pass at that competition caution to get back on the lead lap, but obviously struggling in 33rd place in the 34. And there he goes, a lap down. Denny Hamlin qualified for the chase by winning at Talladega back in May. Says that some of the racetracks later in the chase are his best. He's just got to get there eligible to win the championship to have a shot. He's out front right now. New leader in the Sylvania 300. Chase race number 2 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Kevin Harvick just went by Denny Hamlin to take the number 1 spot. Now Hamlin trying to defend second from Joey Logano.
I think this became a matter that Hamlin decided at this point in time of the race that it just wasn't worth the effort of abusing his tires to try to keep this 4 car behind him. Later in the race, obviously, that's not going to happen in that way.
Kind of has that feeling like we're in one of those long green runs we're going to see go on for a little bit, right?
Yeah, you have that happen here a lot. Cars get kind of strung out. And he probably just felt like that he was abusing the tires just a little more than he wanted to.
So Denny in second. There's Joey Logano in third. Watching Joey at work there.
Oh man, I love, you get people like him and Ryan Newman in there, even Brad. You see those eyes, they're so focused on what they're doing. which obviously you know they all are, but you can just see the intensity that's there.
It's one of the things that's hardest to relay to people that haven't driven a race car, even in one of the driving schools, is the focus and the physical nature of what you're doing and how intent you have to be every step of the way.
Yeah, you're having to look ahead of what's going on. You look at the other cars, look at your gauges, just checking everything that's going on around you and staying so focused.
That's kind of interesting right there. You see Newman back in 11th spot, run the second quickest lap. Naturally, the leader's got the clean air. He's quicker. Some fast cars, though, back in the pack.
Yeah, there's not much clean air out there to be had right now, though. This is a lot of cars. So what you see in lap times is just a matter of who didn't encounter some traffic at the wrong time. That's the key issue. And, of course, the leader getting the benefit most time of a passing flag to get these slower cars out of the way.
So here's Brad Keselowski finally in a plus position from where he had it at the restart, let alone the track position they lost by the strategy. The difficulty they had getting going on the restart when he started 15th and went back to 22nd. Now Keselowski's up to 14th and trying to take 13th away from Almirola.
28 laps for him just to get back to where he was on the restart. And that's after he lost 15 spots after the pit stop. So it's going to be hard for him to make up, to make that four-tire decision, even come close to working at the end of this run.
But as they said, it was kind of an experiment. You know, it's something that really a situation as we see Jeff Gordon, who has been going forward since we saw things get bottled up, and he kind of backed out on that restart too, as the 48 and the 1 were kind of getting together. But he's going forward, fast race car here for Jeff Gordon. But as far as Keselowski and that team, the competition yellow was something they didn't face with just 35 laps. They had to figure that a lot of teams would do that, but I think they thought they could get out quicker than being in 15th spot.
So Jeff Gordon trying to make up a little bit of ground he lost on pit road as well. He had to hesitate just for a second leaving his pit stall when Martin Truex was just going into his pit stall. Fortunately, no contact for either one of them, but Gordon had to hesitate for just a second, and then the restart bottleneck you mentioned, DJ, that he had to get out of the gas from.
Yeah, and back to the 2 car for just a second, too. A luxury that Brad had also on that restart as things got bottled up and all around him happening. He had that luxury of backing out and letting this thing sort out and then start going forward because he's on to the next round. He could do that here today. So no matter what decisions they make, it's not going to affect this race team in their championship hopes.
On the other side of the coin, Carl Edwards barely in the top 12 and needing to have a good day after a subpar effort at Chicagoland last Sunday. Certainly a disappointing effort for Carl, finished in 20th position last weekend, and so started this one in that knot of 5 I talked about that were all clustered back around that 12th place cutoff line within 5 points of each other. Think about that. 5 drivers within 5 positions on the racetrack, and somebody's going to get eliminated from the chase next week in that kind of a bunch.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and you don't want to get yourself in that position at Dover. You'd like to come out of here with a little bit of breathing room. But this is the type racetrack that's given the 99 some problems. Even though Carl Edwards is great at sliding a car around and getting the most out of it on a flat racetrack, they've just struggled, especially in long-run type situations.
So Carl running in 12th, Brad in 13th, and Kevin Harvick in 1st. Kevin, the 4th different leader of this one. David Gilliland also led a lap during the pit stop exchange. There's Kev, out in front by almost 3 seconds. A very familiar sight for the last month or so. Kevin Harvick leading a race. Harv out in front of the Sylvania 300, chase race number 2, unfolding here today at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Harvick's lead is 2.6 seconds on second place Denny Hamlin. So there's Harvick. Here comes Denny. There's Joey Logano in 3rd, yellow and red. And now 4th place driver Jeff Gordon, the subject of our biggest mover spotlight, brought to you by Sprint. Since the start of the race, Jeff has gained 9 positions and worked hard for about each and every one of them. Stay connected to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the Sprint Family Share Pack. 20 gigabytes of high-speed data to share, plus unlimited talk and text for $100 a month. Learn more at sprint.com/datashare.
Like nice fall colors on that 24 car this weekend.
A little pumpkin color, maybe?
Yeah.
What do you think, Doc? Pumpkin color?
I'd say a little off pumpkin, yeah. Right now, he's saying the car is, he had a problem with the car being tight in the middle, and they came in and made the first stop, and Alan Gustafson made a track bar adjustment. That helped the car turn in the middle, but Jeff said, it's hurt my drive off. Now, that's what he said on the radio, but from watching him, his drive off is pretty good.
Yeah, you take the whole set of data and look at it. You take his comments, you look at the lap times, and you kind of decide, okay, he says the car's freer. Definitely helped it in one part of the corner. He complains about another part, but you have that other overriding piece of data, and that's the lap time. If it's going quicker, you're going in the right direction.
At a track like this, most important element of
Now we're just a little bit tight in the center and loose off.
behavior for your car to do is the drive off or the rotation in the center.
In my opinion, is going through the center. That's what really maintains the speed all the way around the racetrack. Is carrying speed through the middle of the corner. I know you need the drive off, and the drivers are always concentrated on that because they want to get to that throttle. But sometimes if you have to give up a little bit, I'd rather give up a little bit of that drive off to have a little bit of speed through the middle.
Yeah, you can control that drive off, but you can also get more of that if you make that car do what you want through the center of the corner. If you're carrying the speed, then you can be a little easier with the throttle and still get your speed on the exit. But if it's not going through the center, just say it's tight. It won't turn. You're having to slow the car down more. You're having to wait before you can get to the gas. And even though you may be able to get to the gas hard, it's probably going to make you what we call snappy loose on the exit of that. So you're right, Andy. Getting that thing through the center, rolling there, and rotating like you want to is the most important element here.
Our Pennzoil telemetry on Jeff Gordon. A couple of drivers making their NASCAR Sprint Cup Series debuts today. One of them, Corey LaJoie, just encountered a little problem that has turned that 77 machine into the garage area. Corey, the son of two-time NASCAR Nationwide Series champ Randy LaJoie.
Yeah, looks like something maybe under the hood gave up.
I'm really surprised that didn't maybe bring out a caution. That's quite a bit of smoke on the entry of the corner there.
Greg Biffle about to be put a lap down by the race leader. Biffle in 28th place.
One of those drivers is in serious shape as far as moving on to the next round right at this point in time. Still have a long way to go in this race. And
as they run in this race, he and Eric Almirola are now tied for 15th and 16th place in points. Second place driver Denny Hamlin is on pit road under the green after just 55 laps, Mike.
Yeah, and he's been saying he needs a little bit more bite. They'll go to work on the chassis, a track bar adjustment there. They had only done 2 tires the last time down pit road, this time 4. The second can of Sunoco race fuel, he's away after a decent stop, another in the 11-second mark.
That is a little bit early, and I'm kind of surprised that they're short pitting that much. There is a fair amount of fall off in the tires and the lap times. We'll see if he'll be able to make that work or whether that was an unscheduled stop.
Well, you'll have to drag in a lot of people here pretty quickly to really make that work, or have it continue to go green for quite a while.
Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr. racing for position around the lap car of Alex Bowman.
Dale Jr. trying to take spot away here.
7th and 8th, and Matt Kenseth in 9th joining the party.
Jimmy Johnson struggling with the handling, especially on the exit of the corner.
Update on Jimmy Johnson from Doc.
Yeah, to quote Jimmy, he said the car is bouncing and loose. It's hard to get the car into turn 3. I can't drive it into 3. We're trying to hold off the 88. But the car was bouncing. You see the car moving there? The car was bouncing and so loose entering 3. He said, I've got no way to hold anybody off.
Yeah, we've shown a couple of end cars with that 48, and I made mention earlier that it really seemed quite severe that his car was bouncing that much, and that's at an area too. If you've got a loose race car, it's bouncing, you're starting to enter the corner, you're starting to have to get on the brakes, then that's just going to make it difficult for you to carry the speed you need into and through the center of the corner to be effective.
So Jimmy Johnson trying to hang on. The bobble of the head as he goes over those bumps into the corner. Matt Kenseth challenging to his inside. About to hit the 1/3 mark of the Sylvania 300 in New Hampshire. The beautiful New England seacoast and inland, about 40 minutes drive, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where yellow flags are waving over the racetrack for just the second time in this race. Some debris that some teams have been reporting in on has been spotted by NASCAR, and so the yellow flag out here at lap 105.
Looks like the 47 will get the free pass here, I believe. A.J. Allmendinger, who was just put a lap down. I think that Denny Hamlin might probably be in a position for a waiver round. Yeah, Hamlin was the second car lap down.
Going to have to stay out there and take it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hamlin trapped a lap down by his green flag pit stop back at lap 95. Some reports that maybe they are having trouble getting the 11 car full of fuel on their pit stops as the reason for his early run to the pit road there. What can you tell us, Mike?
Well, it appears that they did not get enough fuel in the car on the first pit stop. It seems like there's a bit of an issue fueling the car at the point in time. This is the radio they had just after that last stop.
Everybody, make sure you're in fuel position 1. Fuel position 1 is be ready. We're not getting fuel in the car, just barely. I am on 1. Or run until you need it and switch to 2 and come in.
And just moments ago, the communication between Darian Grubb and Denny, not necessarily pleasant. Denny not very happy with the situation at all, as they did not get a full again.
All right, just get called up to the field there best you can. We're going to pit the first time by regardless, even though we're a lap down. We've got to work on, don't change tires or nothing, just work on the fuel probe.
All right, so troubles here for Denny Hamlin with an inability or a problem getting fuel into that 11 car. And while I'm not an expert mechanic like you, Mr. Petrie, I can pretty safely say it's not going to run far without fuel.
No, it's not. They're going to have to get that fixed. That's why they're willing to give up the track position in this lap, possibly getting this lap back, because if they don't get it fixed, they're not going to be able to finish.
Pit road open here. Kevin Harvick leads him in. Let's see what kind of strategy might be played here, Doc.
Jeff Gordon was tight middle, loose offset, lost all rear grip. That left rear tires are worn out, so they're going to go 4 tires, air pressure, get it full of Sunoco fuel. Mike.
Kevin Harvick was loose over the course of the first run, but they tightened it up to the point where he was asked about his balance just a few laps ago. He said it was good. They're going to go with a 4-tire change in Sunoco fuel. He's away. Meanwhile, the 55 car in, Vickers saying he's a little bit loose. 4 tires, fuel, an air pressure adjustment, and a track bar adjustment for Vickers. Jamie?
Joey Logano saying he just wants better drive off. They'll accomplish that with more rear grip. They made an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires, filled him up with Sunoco fuel, and he pulls off second where he came in, Alan.
Brad Keselowski's team picking up 3 spots on that, beginning to continue and eat into that track position deficit by the strategy play on the first. Our Pennzoil race off pit road, Kevin Harvick holds the lead. Working the second caution of the Sylvania 300 with Kevin Harvick holding the lead after an exchange of pit stops. All the attention at this point focused on Denny Hamlin, who's back on pit road again for another pit stop. And watch this.
See, the gas man just having all kinds of trouble. He knows it's not taking fuel.
Let me try another can.
Yeah, he's thinking maybe the probe on the can is the problem. Now they're back on pit road during this caution. They're trying to get I think they're trying to change that the whole probe in the car and try not to lose a lap. So they're trying to get some work done, then send him back around.
So by the time he goes to leave, they did not beat the pace car out. So they had to drop to the end of the line, losing a lap on the pit stop, then come back in for more repairs where they remain, Mike.
You know, and Andy hit the nail right on the head. They are replacing the probe. They tried the last time down pit road, didn't get the repair done, so they came back down, disassembled it once again, and are going to work. A lengthy replacement, though. It's taken them quite a bit of time here on pit road, but obviously it's a situation that needs to be rectified, as you kind of made light of earlier, Alan. Can't go very far without a full tank of fuel.
So he's lost now 2 laps on this set of repairs, plus the one on the green flag pit stop earlier, and it's about to become another lap, so this is going to put Denny 4 laps down as the pace car comes past with him still sitting still on the pit road.
Yeah, it's terribly, terribly frustrating. I mean, you think, well, it's not taking fuel. It's got to be something you can fix pretty easy, but apparently not.
And that explains why he pulled over to Kevin Harvick, probably more than anything, was to be out there saving fuel.
All right, try to plug the fuel. See if it's flowing. Try to plug the fuel.
Looks like it worked that time.
Get the deck lay down pins in. Deck lay down pins in.
See, just sitting there with the engine running, it's getting hot with no airflow through the radiator.
Probably not as hot as the driver is right now.
Yes. So we're doubled up, half a lap for the restart. Quick reminder, later tonight on ESPN, maybe a little champagne spraying in St. Louis. Matt Holliday and the Cardinals look to lock up a 4th straight trip to the postseason as they take on Brandon Phillips and the Reds. It's Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Reds and Cardinals, 8 Eastern on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. Pace cars off, ready to restart. Kevin Harvick outside the leader with Joey Logano to his inside.
Just saw Casey Kane make a huge move down into turn 3, about 4 wide down on the very bottom to the apron of the track.
Look at it back there. Whoa. Justin Allgaier nudged up the track on the top of a 3-wide run. Clint is back in 18th place as things begin to settle out and quiet down a bit. As quiet as a 900 horsepower race car can be anyway. So Brad Keselowski up to 7th. Made his way up to 11th by the pit stop. Crew gained him 3 spots. Now trying to pick his way back toward the front. And for 3rd place, Jeff Gordon through Brian Vickers. Keselowski there on Dale Jr. That's 6th place for Brad. So Keselowski trying to dig his way back. Denny Hamlin 4 laps down, back on the track in 41st place. And on that last round of pit stops, Kurt Busch losing a chunk of ground by making an extra visit to the pit lane, Mike.
Well, Alan, during Countdown, you heard us discuss with Kurt the importance of having a mistake-free race, because you saw what happened last week when he spun on pit road. Well, the mistakes have already happened here. They left a wheel loose, the left rear loose on that previous pit stop, so they dropped from 14th on the stop all the way to 24th, now trying to rally back once again like they did a week ago.
I think it's just a sign of the pressure. I think the teams are under to try to get these spots on pit road and try to make the cutoff here. It's just a lot of pressure on these team members, and they made a lot of mistakes last week, and we're seeing a few this week.
Dale Jr.
Possibly.
On pit road under the green flag from 7th place.
Report to make sure they're good.
Tire left loose, maybe? Flat tire, something? Jamie, what are they saying?
That's what they are fearing, that it's a loose wheel. We just heard Mike talking about the problem with the 41, same issue. So they're going to change out these tires just to be safe, but they're giving up a lot of track position. They were moving forward, making adjustments for Junior where he liked the car better. So they'll work on the left side. When you have a loose wheel, best case scenario, change all four, right, AB?
I don't know which one it is. Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you got to do that. Incredible here in a race and a half into this chase. The amount of mistakes we've seen from the 16 drivers and teams in the chase.
It's like you're trying to see who can race themselves out of it.
So that puts Dale Jr. a lap down. And just want to check as he comes back around and see where he slides in with the cars 1 lap down to see where his position is as far as getting a free pass is concerned. So there is Junior. And that's going to make him...
Real loose. Great decision. We'll be fine. Just settle in. The 16 is the lucky dog, wherever he's at, TJ.
There you go. Steve Letarte just told him what he needs to know. The car 2 in front of him, 16, is the first one to lap down Greg Biffle. And now they'll try and race for the free pass position should the next caution come out.
Yeah, once the air pressures come up to Juniors, if that was his issue and everything's okay, shouldn't have any problem. Greg Biffle still really struggling with this 16 car today.
And Jamie reports up from pit road, the right front was the wheel that was loose on the 88.
You know, you talked about it last week that not only is it the drivers, but the crew's under an immense amount of pressure in this situation too.
Yeah, it's gotten so competitive on pit road, and especially under these caution flag stops. They're trying to get every millisecond, and sometimes they're pushing it too far, leaving these wheels loose.
And as far as this 3-race challenge around is concerned, as we think the Dale Jr. story, he started the day in 5th in points, and he was only 17 points off the lead. But now, as they run in this race, and he and Biffle race for the free pass here, excuse me, I'm coming through, Junior finds himself back 11th in points and much closer to the cut line. So now, Dale Jr., the first car a lap down, until Kevin Harvick catches the tail end of the field. Good look down at New Hampshire Motor Speedway from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear is the official tire of NASCAR. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has enhanced race action today, live from here in New Hampshire. Check out the onboard views and more at NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. David Stremme off the pace in the 33. Race control radioing to some of the spotters around the racetrack. And it appears we stay green for the moment. So Kevin Harvick out in front. He's got 0.8 of a second on Joey Logano. Harvick taking the lead from Denny Hamlin at lap 71, holding it through a set of pit stops. There's Logano now running in second, with Jeff Gordon in third, Brian Vickers fourth, Jamie McMurray fifth, and the rest of the scoring order coming across the top of your screen. What a rally for Brad Keselowski, back up to 6th place after falling as far back as 22nd earlier in the race. Worked with us earlier on a set of caution flag pit stops at lap 37. Keselowski, then the leader in that 2-car, took 4 tires when most everybody else took rights. It sent him from 1st to 15th. Then on the restart, he got bottled up in traffic, kicked him back to 22nd. And he has been slowly trying to dig out of that hole ever since.
He has been. He's I've watched the lap times towards the end of that last run before we had that caution. He wasn't as fast as what Harvick was out leading the race, and he hasn't really been as quick as Harvick here. He's been a lot closer with the times, but still a little adjustment probably going to have to be made to this 2-car.
Update on the deuce from Jamie.
And because they won last week and they're in the next round already, pressure's off. And because the car is so fast, they're in good moods today.
More fun back there, isn't it? Fun. Spent your whole life wanting to be a race car driver. Now you are one. I've had fun. More fun leaving though. Yeah, that comes later.
And then Brad thanking his team for getting him back up front. So having a good time on the radio and in the race car, guys.
Yeah, you can just tell by the tone there that the pressure's off. Winning that race last week made a big difference.
Yeah, that's certainly different levels of fun being back there
on that restart and being out front for sure.
They are through to the next round by virtue of their win at Chicagoland last Sunday. Remember that the winners of each of the races in the 3-race rounds automatically advance on, and then the rest of the positions are filled according to the point standings. But the winners are automatically through. So while you watch Kevin Harvick leading, big story on the day so far, Denny Hamlin, with the problems they had having to replace the fuel probe where the fuel is put into the car on the 11. Now Denny running in this race 4 laps down, back in 40th place. Probably going to have a difficult finish today because it's going to be hard to make up 4 laps.
Yeah, unless something happens, they're in serious trouble. He's got 3 other cars that are 4 laps down, so he can probably beat those cars. But you can see the position has put this 11 team in outside that top 12.
Yeah, and you see he's going to have to displace Edwards and Kurt Busch and maybe Junior to get inside of there. So it's not, he's got to beat him by 12, 15 spots next week. That's not going to be easy.
Now, still got over half of this race to go to see if any of those other drivers have problems like Denny had in the first half of this one. And then 400 tough miles at Dover.
Yeah, which hasn't been his best place. Only 2 top 15 in the last 7. But you can see here recently what has happened. The saving grace, if there is any, was earlier this year. June 1st, I believe that was. But he finished 5th. So that gives them some hope that maybe they can go back there and have a repeat performance or win that race, which is going to be a tall order since that's kind of Jimmy Johnson's house.
Yeah, I think winning is the thing that they're going to have to think about really trying to get done, because like I said, to beat those cars I'm talking about by 12 spots, that's going to be hard to do. You need some help from them to do that.
That's the great thing about it. Winning solves all those issues.
Yep. If only it were that easy. So now for 5th place, Jamie McMurray in the 1, Brad Keselowski in the 2. I'm not sure, after McMurray got bounced around in that restart shuffle back just after the competition caution, if this one car is exactly the same as it was. He's holding his station, but what we saw in qualifying and what we saw in race practice yesterday, I thought maybe he'd be a little closer to the actual lead than he is.
Yeah, he did get bounced around a little bit. I've not seen any obvious damage to the fenders or the quarter panels or anything that looks like it could be slowing him down. Like I said, he is holding his own.
The good thing is his lap times are still competitive. He's off a little bit of where he needs to be up there battling for the lead. But that could be just an adjustment away on a track like this, where it's just that little bit to get you through the center, carry that little bit of extra speed to where you're running faster on the exit and then down the straightaway.
So Keselowski and McMurray trying to chase down Kevin Harvick. Out in front today for 70 of the 141 laps that have been run in this one.
Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 147 laps already in the books. Kevin Harvick continues to lead, so it's a good time to get you caught up with what's happened so far. It's the 5-hour Energy Rapid Recap. Mistakes. They continue to be a storyline, but Denny Hamlin has had it the worst so far today.
Yeah, this is a real bad one. The fuel receptacles in the left rear quarter plane has come loose. It slid in. They can't fuel the car. They're having all kind of problems. They had to replace it, fix it. Denny's 4 laps down. A major mistake from the team.
We saw several loose wheels in Chicago, and that's again happening today. This one with Kurt Busch.
Yeah, unfortunate for Kurt Busch, same thing. Kurt had a good run going, was really strong, had a loose wheel, had to come back down, unscheduled pit stop under green here. You are absolutely in trouble.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., lap 119, had to pit under green from 7th. Same issue, loose wheel. Fell to 25th. He's currently 1 lap down, but in the lucky dog spot.
Yeah, that's good that he's in a lucky dog spot. This is a premier team, though. You don't expect a loose lug nut, but guys, they're having a problem under pressure. You can tell this is a big race. These crew guys are rushing these pit stops, and it's causing big problems.
The impact for Hamlin today, though, is huge as we come inside the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. He was out front for 32 laps. When he was out front, he was 4th in points. Right now, he is outside the top 12. So that's a driver we'll be watching. I know another driver you're watching is outside the top 12. That's Eric Almirola.
Yeah, I really felt for Eric Almirola last week, Nicole, when he lost that engine. But right now, he's running great. He's in 11th place. And look, this guy's no joke. He's the real deal. He's up and running. We talked in Countdown that, in my opinion, everybody's opinion here, he's the second best Ford team out there behind the Penske teams. Well, guess what? That's how they're running right now. That guy's looking good out there.
What about Jeff Gordon? Right now, he's in 3rd.
Yeah.
One of the few drivers who's not made a mistake yet.
One of only 2. He and Greg Biffle are the only 2 drivers that are chase drivers that haven't had any mistakes. And Jeff has been very, very solid today. He and Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, had a good game plan. The car is stable, good speed, good pit stops. He's going to be around at the end of the day. You better keep your eye on that 24.
Word of wisdom from the big guy, Alan.
Yep, and can't disagree. Jeff Gordon's been solid. His team's been solid. And they have their eye on the prize. And the prize is a ring for every finger on Jeff's hand.
I think we kind of had him the same thing on our grid, didn't we, you and I?
I don't remember where he is on yours. I know where he is on mine.
I got him as the champion.
That's what I do too.
Okay.
Matt Kenseth picking up a spot on Brad Keselowski. 6th place, so Brad's slipping back 1.
Yeah, and I've been watching this 20 car, really starting to call him about the last 15 laps. I don't know if he found another groove or something that they told him, but he really has picked up some speed.
Sneaky fast.
You got this is the guy you can't ever take your eye off of.
Of course, it was 1 year ago that Matt got his last win. This race last September. Since Kenseth has gone to victory lane, and after winning 7 times a year ago, who saw it coming? But it would be no surprise with the speed we've seen from the Gibbs cars in the last 3-4 weeks. Atlanta was where they first got my attention. Big racetrack, fat, and they had the speed. It wouldn't surprise me to see him win.
Certainly.
Now, this is big because the 9 car that just got put a lap down means Dale Earnhardt Jr. is no longer the first car a lap down. So the caution comes out. Jr. no longer gets the free pass. So now Jr.'s got to find a way to catch Marcos Ambrose. Problem is he's a half a lap behind him.
And the only way that's going to happen, Jr. really needs this to cycle through to. And the problem that he's going to have even there, he's going to need a caution immediately after that because he had to pit so early after the restart.
Yeah, it's only 12 laps after he had pitted when he came back down in for that loose right front wheel. So
yeah, small window for all of this to work out, but we'll see what happens. You just got all you can do is keep battling, get the most out of it that you can.
Sometimes it just works out.
Kenseth picked up another spot as we look at Junior there, but he's gone after he passed Keselowski. He went on up and passed Jamie Murray, so he's moved himself into the top 5 now.
Ryan Newman, 31 car right there on the lead lap, 10th place. Another solid, consistent day for Newman and this team at a track where he's won a few times before. As Keselowski goes after McMurray here for a spot, that'll be 6th place.
Hey, talk about Newman. That team really fought last week. They had a tire issue and a lot of things that they had to repair in there and had some decent things happen. So they kept themselves in the battle and having a good, solid day here, and they know that's what they need. Another driver that's solid at most of these tracks, but you think about going to Dover next week, very solid at there, able to get the job done, very capable of getting a solid top 10, which will probably move him on to the next round if they continue this run today.
Yeah, I was very impressed with what they did last week at Chicago. I mean, they were down 3 laps at one point and never gave up, just kept working at it, and Luke Lambert made the right calls and executed a really good race to get them a decent finish there to put them in a position to not have to go out here and win one of these next 2. Just be solid. That's what he is today.
Yeah, that's where you get out and give that crew chief a hug, knowing how big a difference that was right there.
So sorry about that. Newman running in 10th position, just past halfway in the Sylvania 300. So because it's past halfway, watching Kyle Busch and Jamie McMurray here. Because it's past halfway, whatever happens during the break, you'll see it. Because we're going NASCAR nonstop. And today from New Hampshire, it's presented by 5 Hour Energy. You've seen Kevin Harvick put Kurt Busch a lap down, about to put Greg Biffle a 2nd lap down in the Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 136 laps to go, and in the middle of a long green flag stretch here, 52 laps in this current green flag run. Coming up tonight, the AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals. See the final eliminations at 8:30 Eastern over on ESPN2. And a reminder about next weekend's NASCAR action, a doubleheader from the Monster Mile. Always some great racing at Dover. Our Nationwide Series on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. And race 3 in the chase, the final race in the Challenger round. Our telecast presented by Pennzoil is next Sunday at 1 Eastern here on ESPN from Dover International Speedway. Who's going to need to win to stay in? And how will that cut line around 12th place work? Who gets dropped in the first ever eliminations in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup? Kevin Harvick just put his 95th lap in the lead today, and he's out in front of Joey Logano by 2.7 seconds, Mike.
And is looking at the big picture too, Alan. As you mentioned at the top of the show, you reminded the folks out there that back in July, Harvick was running toward the front and ran out of fuel. Well, he radioed in not too long ago telling his crew chief Rodney Childers, during this run, the fuel mileage should be better. Obviously, he's changing something behind the wheel, DJ. What do you think it is?
I would say that probably the way that he's approaching the corner, he's probably backing off a little bit early, letting the car roll to the center of the corner, and then probably easing back into the gas. And when you're the leader of the race, that's a lot easier to do, but it gives him a good indication this time of exactly what he's capable of doing as far as fuel goes.
Had a crew chief tell me this morning that you work that saving fuel from the first lap to the last lap, but most of it's done by the guy behind the wheel. You can only detune it so much and still have what you need under the hood. The guy who's holding the steering wheel and working the pedals has to do most of the work for you.
I'll say this is one of the more difficult places as a driver. Usually it's just the leader of the race that really can do that. Maybe second and third if you have that long green flag run.
I talked about how many laps Kevin Harvick has led today. As we check most laps led, brought to you by Sprint. Kevin, in fact, has led the most laps thus far in this one. 97 of the 168, now 98 of 169 that have been completed so far. Stay connected to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the Sprint Family Share Pack. 20 gigabytes of high-speed data to share, plus unlimited talk and text for $100 a month. Learn more at sprint.com/datashare.
I love that a lot. I wonder if Sprint gives him a phone.
One of the things we're talking about, Harvick saving fuel, is one best way to save fuel is to not use the brakes very much.
Yeah.
And not using the brakes makes you run faster also.
That's for debris in turns 3 and 4, the yellow flag. Third one of the race with 130 laps to go. Kurt Busch gets the free pass. Been a while since you pitted. If you're Steve Letarte, do you leave Junior out there and try and get a wave around, or do you have to come in and try and race for the free pass at the next caution?
Yeah, personally, I think you've got to come in and play your strategies now and get what you can. Try to get yourself back in that position. I think you've been out there a long time on those tires.
Yeah, it'd be tough to do right now. He's going to maybe hope that things will cycle a little bit later to help him get that back.
By the way, I know we've only seen the yellow flag 3 times today. Competition caution and 2 debris cautions. We normally see the yellow flag a lot in the last 100 laps of this one. We'll give you more details on that in a bit. Here they come, Doc.
Jeff Gordon said pretty happy with my car, except for the guys at 4 and 22 in front of me are pretty doggone good. A little bit tight in the middle, a little loose entry on 3. Going to be 4 tires and fuel. Mike.
Kevin Harvick saying his car is just a touch too tight. A half a turn on the track bar, a 4-tire change on the 4 machine. Second can of Sunoco race fuel going in now as a complete service. Doc?
And Joey Logano in the 22 just couldn't make up any ground on the 4 of Kevin Harvick. They're going to make an adjustment. The fall-up was quite significant after 15 laps. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel and 4 tires in the race off pit road. And there goes the 22 out.
New leader. So Joey Logano's team is going to get him the race lead ahead of Kevin Harvick on the pit lane for this restart. By how much? By that much.
Wow.
Yikes. Joey Logano, the new leader of the Sylvania 300, after getting off of pit road a skosh, maybe a few inches ahead of Kevin Harvick. NASCAR checked it with their camera at the end of pit road just to confirm, and it is indeed Logano and Harvick, the 1-2 order for the restart. NFL Week 3 concludes tomorrow in New Jersey at the Meadowlands. Geno Smith and the Jets host Jay Cutler and the Bears. Both teams involved in a couple of tough games last week. Jets coming out on the bottom end of theirs, while the Bears had that great rally to beat San Francisco. So it's Jets and Bears on Monday Night Football at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN, and also available live on Watch ESPN. Eric Almirola, our ESPN in-race reporter, took the green flag in the 21st position. He's worked his way up to 13th.
Eric, Dale Jarrett, you good to talk?
Yep.
Eric made a nice charge towards the front here, towards the top 10. Looks like the car's pretty solid. What do you need to get yourself inside that top 10 right now?
We just got to roll the center a little bit better with our Smithfield 4 Fusion. We made an adjustment there to try and make it roll the center better, and we start getting loose in, which makes the corner a mess. So we got to get it to roll across the center a little bit better, but keep the entry secure and keep our good forward drive. We've had good forward drive, which is important here, but just got to roll the center a little bit better. That's easy to ask for my seat, so hopefully Trent Owens and the boys got me fixed up here.
Yeah, we hope so. Hey, these restarts look pretty wild. You got to get up on the wheel for these things, don't you, bud?
Yeah, got to get the elbows up and get after it. It's really hard to pass. It always is here. So if you can take advantage of a restart, you get 4 or 5 cars, it makes a big difference in track position. The closer you get to the front, the better your car drives. So so far we've had some good restarts, and we've been able to move up through the field here. So we gotta have a few more good restarts and get up there into the top 10. I think we got a good enough car to do that.
All right, Eric, thanks for talking. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Eric Almirola, 13th position, and the field going to get the 1-to-go signal when they come back to the start-finish line this time, and that'll give us a restart with 123 to go in this one. So I mentioned that a lot of the yellows we see in this race happen in the final 100 laps. Naturally, I have numbers to back it up.
Sure you do.
Check it out. In the last 3 races, after lap 200.
Yeah, patience starts wearing thin. It's a lot of that reason, and where we've seen some give and take here throughout the day, that's going to go away here shortly, and especially as this ramps up.
And that's 7 cautions after lap 200.
After 200, right.
Joey Logano, now the race leader, has chosen the outside lane for the restart.
You saving any? No, you need me to? I just need to know what you're doing. I'm putting heat in. Heat's more important than saving. Important. Trying to do both now.
Yeah, at this point, he's talking about heating the tires is more important than saving fuel. So go ahead and do what you need to do. And try to keep this lead. Then you can save fuel if you control the pace of the race.
Yeah, it looks like one more pit stop is pretty much what they're going to have.
So here comes your restart order. We have 21 cars on the lead lap. And behind them, A.J. Allmendinger, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Marcus Ambrose, Greg Biffle, all racing to be the first car a lap down. Actually, Biffle's 2 laps down, so take him out of that.
Logano got a great start.
On a short track, and I know this is a mile track, the drivers look at it as a short track, such a huge advantage to be the one controlling that start. So when you have the lower gears in the cars and you know and can anticipate what you're going to do, gives you a big advantage, and we've seen that all day.
Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, 6th and 7th place. Bang! Okay, maybe bump.
Yeah, we're going to see more of that. They're going to get a little more aggressive here. Brad's team there benefited from having that number 1 pit stall, picked him up a couple of spots. That time he's trying to hold on to it on the racetrack. Kyle Busch is ready to go forward. Battle between teammates here.
Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane. That's for 10th and 11th.
Oh, getting awfully close there.
Trouble turn 2. Martin Truex Jr., David Reagan, and now Denny Hamlin.
thought Denny's day was bad.
There's Cole Witt.
A lot of damage there in the 11.
Wow. What was that we said about yellow flags?
You got it. We hadn't even got to lap 200 yet.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cars involved in that. So Martin Truex Jr. Got some damage. I'm not sure he's not the one where this all started.
David Reagan's car all torn up.
Yeah, he got the worst of that. I mean, he had a pretty good angle into the safety barrier.
And that was the one that got hit on the left rear when Denny Hamlin slid in.
Oh, Denny's got a tremendous amount of damage. He's going to draw it.
Yeah.
Good to see David Reagan out and walking around there.
All right, this was a race for about 27th, 28th place that kind of went wrong.
Yeah, you look right here. Here's Martin Truex Jr. He's right inside of 51
there.
Yeah, he gets. It looks like he may got a little loose underneath Allgaier. Yep, got into the side. Oh man, that 34 just pounded that wall. And here comes Hamlin.
That would be an accordion. And then Denny putting the exclamation point on what has been a rather difficult day for his championship hopes. NASCAR Nonstop, presented by 5 Hour Energy. What a mess. The right front corner of Denny Hamlin's car. Back in the garage after Hamlin involved in a crash at lap 180 here. 4-car accident up in turns 1 where he was kind of last man in. And it is the button on a day that's been most difficult for Hamlin and his team. After racing up and leading some of this event, Hamlin had to stop under green at lap 95. Turns out they weren't getting it full of fuel. They had a problem with the fuel connection on the car. Had to take a long time to repair it under a caution flag. Wound up putting Denny 4 laps down. He lost a 5th one on the racetrack to Kevin Harvick. And then
it got worse.
Yeah.
Wreck with Martin Truex Jr., David Reagan. Then here comes Hamlin. Hard to figure why he was up there so far, but he gets in it and tears the car up.
I'll borrow a Schraderism. He had radar lock.
Yeah.
And so Denny Hamlin back in the garage right now, showing in 40th place. And it's going to make Dover a big day for Hamlin and company next Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, team, just putting yourself in a position that you did not want to be in. Going to Dover and having to have an outstanding day to move yourself to the next round.
Denny talking to coach. And looking, would appear by coach's hand motions for some explanation of what was wrong with the
the fuel probe
connection.
Caused all of this. I'm sure he's probably really disgusted about that kind of a problem. Yeah. It's not something that you hear of much.
That's something they've done all weekend, Andy, is fuel that car. How does something?
I don't know. That's just, it's crazy. I don't really know what happened to it, but I know how frustrating it can be for him because that's something you count on working. You just don't count on having some kind of failure there.
See the turn of his day from being 34 points ahead of 13th, and remember just the 12 will advance after Dover, to now being 11 points behind that 12th spot.
Yeah, he had a good enough car to win today.
Yeah. So doubled up for a restart. Kevin Harvick again will be to the inside of leader Joey Logano. And imagine that. There's conversation about restart tactics on team radios.
Jump at the start, is that okay? Yeah, no Go get him, buddy. We're by 4. Knew I should have said nothing, but they've been on everybody. We just got to be safe here.
That's the thing. You can't take a chance on getting a penalty here on jumping a restart.
In the restart zone,
yeah,
off they went.
Right there, if it was anything, it might have been a foot, and that's hard to call.
So another chance for Harvick here. And, well, we've seen the initial start and 2 other restarts, and every time the guy in that inside lane has had a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's just a disadvantage, but I'll guarantee you this one probably from Joey Logano will be towards the end of that restart mark. Nope, he was early.
Just than you think, right?
That's what makes it so difficult in trying to anticipate and think what that other driver may be thinking. Sometimes you don't want to even go there in another driver's mind.
Hang on. Kyle Busch is going to get turned around.
Lock her down, lock her down, lock her down. Get her rolling when you can. You're going to have to get the hood, beat the hood down.
They got jammed up in turn 2, and in the accordion, Kyle got hit, turned around. There you see the damage on Kasey Kahne's car. And it all started when Matt Kenseth had trouble on the inside of turn number 2.
Here, if we can't get it fixed here, we're in trouble.
And they all just stacked up behind Kyle Busch after he had to check up for Kenseth.
Yeah, and this involved a number of chase drivers. A lot of damage on at least 3 cars there that are involved in the chase right now.
That was a race for 8th place gone bad. Ryan Newman got a piece.
Just racing hard right here. And you see Kenseth gets out of shape, has to check up just slightly. And boy, it just caused a big accordion.
Jimmy Johnson, whoa, what a great job of missing that.
Whoa.
Man, that's being on your toes right there. You can see as Kenseth was getting sideways, he got the bump from behind, kind of straightened him out, but then sent the 18 spinning.
So the one Joe Gibbs racing car just went to the garage from the last caution. There's a second one damaged off the back bumper of a third. Doubled up for another restart here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A very interesting last little segment of the race involving drivers in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Moments ago, Denny Hamlin's day, receiving a major kink after problems earlier. Now his car back in the garage after that. And now this most recent incident when Kyle Busch, Kasey Kahne, Ryan Newman all got a piece of something off of turn number 2.
Yeah, a lot of damage sustained there. The 31 car, Ryan Newman, decided that their damage wasn't so bad. They stayed on the racetrack.
Dale Jr. got the free pass at the caution. He's back on the lead lap in 21st place.
I don't know about 3-wide racing on this track, but they're trying to make it work.
I was just holding my breath waiting to holler trouble.
Now, we haven't even got to your lap 200 part yet about all the cautions.
Yeah, I think
Keselowski is around.
Stay up top.
Into the wall.
Stay up top. Got left rear damage. Left rear damage, not much. Get going. Caution is out. Caution.
Unlike other people who have to worry about this effect on their moving through at Dover next week, Keselowski already through because of his Chicagoland win, but boy, he was trying hard to make that bottom lane work to gain some positions on that restart.
He was trying to make it work, but just not seeing that be an advantage in diving down there. You want to go where they're not, but it's just difficult to make that work. See right here.
Trying to take that spot from Kenseth.
Boy, Kenseth is in it. Boy, he's dodging a bullet every single lap, it looks like.
He's been in the hot seat a few times.
Outside here, he's all over. Outside, outside, outside. Hold on to it. Stay up top. Stay up top. Got left rear damage. Left rear damage, not much. Get going. Caution is out.
It's probably the biggest thing that you face as a driver at this racetrack, the speed that you carry in, knowing how important it is when you're trying to make a pass, carrying that speed down into the corner, but you lose a lot of your aero, and things get rough there, start bouncing around and spin out.
So, third caution in the last 15 laps. This one for Brad Keselowski. Lost it in turn one and nicked the wall. So as you see, we're doubled up for another restart. Still shy of 100 to go at New Hampshire in the Sylvania 300. Joey Logano, the race leader. He's gotten the best of Kevin Harvick on each of the last couple from that outside lane. Free pass, Marcos Ambrose back on the lead lap. There are now no longer any cars one lap down. Greg Biffle is the next car not on the lead lap. He's 2 laps down in 25th place. And you see that the yellow fever has broken out here in New Hampshire.
Brian Vickers sliding up there from that third spot. He's had a good solid run all day long. Brian Vickers in the 55 car. Been around the top 5 all day.
Got him some track position with some strategy early on that competition caution, and he's made the most of it. So Logano holds the lead on the break from the restart.
See that 43 car, in-race reporter Eric Almirola doing a great job. Got himself inside the top 10 here this afternoon.
Racing with Kyle Larson for 9th place there. Paul Menard 27, Danica Patrick 10 on the lead lap behind them, as are Carl Edwards and Clint Boyer. Now, all this going on while Denny Hamlin is back in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series garage. Mike?
And the 11 team, meanwhile, thrashing behind us, still trying to repair that car, trying to get it back out of the racetrack. But Denny, an interesting day to say the least with the fuel issue and now this. What happened here?
We somehow couldn't get fuel in the car. There was something going on, dry brake, or I'm not sure what it is, but couldn't get fuel in it. And that pretty much set the tone for the rest of our day. We just, gosh, you just can't have any mistakes in this 3-race deal. And from the driver, from the crew, the team, no one can really make a mistake in 3 races, and unfortunately no one did. It just, we had a mechanical failure that really hasn't bitten us in a while, and it's untimely, but we're going to keep digging with our FedEx Ground team, and proud of these guys' effort trying to get this thing back on the racetrack, but frustrating to say the least. Obviously we were looking to stretch things out here. We had a great car running top 2 all day, and it's just part of it.
Meanwhile, rash of cautions continue. Yellow on the racetrack again, Alan.
All right, Mike, thanks. As you saw, Ricky Stenhouse spun off of turn number 4, running in 17th place. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s view.
Yeah, I think Ricky got a little help. Means a little more of it there. Yeah.
So Stenhouse going again, and again, that was a race for 17th place with he and Dale Jr. that went bad. Greg Biffle could not hold the position of the first car not on the lead lap. Justin Allgaier got by him on the restart break, so it's going to be Allgaier who gets the free pass on this caution to get one of his 2 laps back instead of Biffle. Brad Keselowski in for a further attention to the deuce. Kyle Busch also in, Casey Kane also in for further attention to their damaged cars. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski, they were able to pull the fenders and fix that damage on the last stop, so they decided to pit again. Nothing to lose here. They'll put right sides on, work their way over to the left side. So made a matter that could have been a lot worse a little better here on pit road.
So Brad Keselowski, who Started on pole in this one, led the opening 37 laps, then got shuffled back by a strategy call from crew chief Paul Wolf that saw him run as low as 22nd in this race, trying to regain some lost ground. Kyle Busch's car, ouch. Going to go back racing with 95 laps to go now in the Sylvania 300. Still the same formation on the front row. Joey Logano outside the control car. Kevin Harvick inside. And a pack of guys behind him, all trying to gain everything they can quickly.
And Logano is still solidly in charge of these restarts from that outside.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson, the one to go 3 wide this time.
Haven't really seen this work down on the bottom, but we'll see if Jimmy Johnson can. Matt Kenseth found himself in some tough spots here recently.
How about Kyle Larson passing him on the outside? He's been getting better the whole race. Larson up into 6th place.
This thing will sort out a little bit under green. I want to see if Kevin Harvick can find a way back around Joey Logano. Danica Patrick on the lead lap. Really solid job today again. Running in 10th position. Just took 9th actually away from Eric Almirola.
I think what you just said again, she's been running really well the last probably 5 or 6 weeks and doing it kind of quietly. Just incrementally better every week. This is a pretty solid race team right now. I would consider them a top 10 to 15th place team anywhere they go.
Watched her make some really good passes here today, and this is a tough racetrack. We heard all the drivers talk about how difficult that is. She's doing a solid job here.
So Patrick into the top 10.
You go back to that 6th place finish she had at Atlanta. That's probably one of the toughest nights for all these drivers. It was a tough racetrack, slick, long race, and she was solid all night there. Still showing us no fluke. Running good today.
Others still fighting hard. There's Carl Edwards, 99, running in 13th. Kurt Busch back in 15th. Edwards made a pit stop under the 5th caution, that the one at lap 189, when most of the other leaders stayed out. And then Kurt got the free pass. Remember, got a lap down earlier, got the free pass at lap 170, and started at the end of the line in that one and is trying to pick his way back through.
Each one of these spots that they can pick up here could be a valuable point when we get to the end of the race at Dover next week.
Yeah, that's true, but what they don't want to do with all these cars that's had trouble, they don't want to put themselves in a bad spot because right now they've got a little cushion on a lot of cars.
So Kurt Busch around Clint Boyer. So that'll put Kurt to 14th, Clint to 15th.
Debris in the back, caution.
There you heard the radio call. Debris back straight away, I believe is what they said.
Not surprising.
Well, there's a lot of damaged cars, probably stuff falling off of all of them. That's the problem when you have this rash of yellow fever and you get cars that are banged up. They're going to keep bringing cautions out.
I know a lot of people might say, well, that looks rather harmless, and it probably is just some of the tape bear bond that comes off of these cars and things, but that getting on someone's grill could end their day, and with it being there, you can't just leave it laying there.
And with those 2 quick succeeding cautions, Justin Allgaier gets both of his laps back and comes onto the lead lap. And Greg Biffle and company have to be saying, oh, what a wasted opportunity there.
Yeah, it could have been them and right back in a much better position. But they'll have to continue to fight. With what we're seeing now, Biffle can hold on. In a few more cautions, he'll be the person getting a free pass.
Now, they've run 40 laps since they last pitted. I know most of them have been under caution. Only 17 green flag laps, 24 of those laps been run under caution, but they can make it from here, especially if we have some cautions like Alan's been predicting we'll have in this last 100 laps.
Vickers stays out. About everybody else comes in, Doc.
Looking at probably 2 right side tires, going to be close, got to get it full of fuel. They can make it, going to be very close. Gordon is away. Mike.
Kevin Harvick pretty happy with his race car right now. They talked about doing just 2 tires. That's what it looks like they're going to do, right sides only. Jamie.
And Joey Logano in the 22 took off free, but got better as they ran. A tear-off rips off the windshield. A lot of bugs out here, by the way. Right sides only for the 22.
Pennzoil race off pit road. Look at Brad Keselowski's team with just a splash of fuel.
Yeah, set that up the last time by coming in, getting 4 tires, put them in this great position.
But Brian Vickers stayed on the racetrack, and he's going to take over the race lead in this one when we go back to green. Back to the Sylvania 300 in New Hampshire and doubled up for the restart. Brian Vickers, Casey Mears did not pit on the caution. They are first and second. And here we go. Vickers, Keselowski, Kenseth, Larson, Mears. Now the first 5. Big knot there from 4th and 5th on back. It looks like this.
Oh. Watching Kurt Busch get loose there. Thought he was going to get into Jamie McMurray.
He had Dale Jr. poking around his left rear quarter panel too.
A little smoke
right
front.
He did get into him. I believe we could see the lettering rubbed off the left rear tire of Jamie McMurray's car too, where that all happened.
That was for 14th place, Dale. Stenhouse looking inside of Kevin Harvick. Harvick looking inside of Marcus Ambrose. Trying to sum up the pit strategy we saw in that last caution would take some time, but a split decision there. A lot of people got rights. A number of people did take 4. First with 4 is Clint Boyer, who is in 16th place. And again, the 2 guys who didn't pit at all, and there were some who took fuel only, like Keselowski. So you got a whole mix of things in the run here. Keselowski, Ambrose, Stenhouse, Gilliland, and Truex were the guys that took fuel only in that little shuffle.
Yeah, and they all set that up by coming in, getting 4 tires, making their adjustments the previous caution, and that set them up for that scenario, and they were planning for that.
What have I left out? We square there?
Oh, my
Hopefully
God.
we're square. Oh, and Denny Hamlin just came back out of the garage and back onto the racetrack. Hamlin is 38 laps down in 39th place.
So, Andy, you have to tell us what Brian Vickers is planning on since he stayed down.
Well, the only thing I can figure is he was thinking it was going to rain possibly. We see a little bit on the radar around. I'm not sure it's going to hit the racetrack, but maybe he's taking a gamble that it's not going to go all the way.
Trouble in 3.
Kurt Busch up in the wall. Remember, had that right front tire rub after the contact with Jamie McMurray.
Come down pit road. Drag your feet. Drag your feet.
Andy, that's one of those teams that you were talking about, and drivers, we saw him earlier taking some chances that was well inside that top 12.
He had like 20.
It's getting pretty hard,
20
so
points
we're
on
not
12
likely going to be able to.
And so, a lot to lose here for this team.
Now he was in 15th place. Coming at you there right in the center of the screen.
And finally rubbed the hole through the sidewall.
Oh.
He hit hard too.
Terrible feeling as a driver, especially going into the corner. A tire goes down. Nothing you can do. You can't apply enough brakes. The brakes just makes it go straight. Doesn't slow the car down very much. Just a hard hit. Safer barrier certainly helped that for the driver.
Some pit stops here, Doc.
Jimmy Johnson's car getting better and better. Right side tires, the bouncing and freeness going away. Chad said we're getting better. Likewise, a little tight in the middle, an adjustment with the 1 car. He is away, right side tire.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, in his box, they make an adjustment there. They've been working on the car to make it better. Ooh, almost gets into his teammate Casey Kane, who is pulling into his pit box.
everybody making pit stops now can make it to the finish. The other ones are going to have a little help with caution laps, which they're getting now. But
and likely to get more of.
Yeah. But we saw how this race played out the last time. A lot of cars running out. It went over time. So this puts Jimmy Johnson at least in a better position fuel-wise than the rest of the field.
And some of the guys who have damaged cars, you saw Casey Kane. There's Kurt Busch's team getting worked on. Ryan Newman just leaving. You'll see him there pull around Kurt Busch from the damage earlier. Is it just me, or is this thing turned into a little bit of chaos and mayhem here lately?
Not just you. This is going crazy. Wow. And setting up for something unbelievable next week. We got to get through this 75. This is going to be unbelievable. But just thinking the pressure that these drivers and teams are going to be under next week at Dover, because it's going to be a lot of them, not just a few.
Well, you said terrible feeling as a driver. Terrible feeling just looking at it when you see that car headed for the wall like that.
Yeah, and there's just nothing that you can do. If you let off the brake and try to turn, yeah, you're going to hit the wall down a little bit, but you're still going to hit it because the car won't turn, carrying a tremendous amount of speed. The more brakes you try to apply, that just sends you straighter towards the wall. So you're caught in a bad spot, kind of a catch-22 situation. Let's watch the impact right here. How much that was moving there. And the closer you get to that, you know it's inevitable, the harder you're on the brakes. You can see he's got it locked up there all that he can. Look at that. Front end comes off the ground. Wow.
Pushing Kurt Busch's car back into the garage, doubled up for a restart, and a quick check over in the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. Hi, Nicole.
Hello. We're just taking a look at the gaggle of cars and the pressure going into next week, which is, again, another Richmond, if you look at it that way. There are 4 or 5 cars all within a few points of that cutoff, and we were just saying this chase and how it's playing out isn't going as we expected. There are a number of power teams that are very much struggling.
No, absolutely. I don't think anyone is absolutely safe once you get to 8th on down. And you're looking at these guys right here, right on the bubble. The 47 car hasn't run particularly well, but because of attrition, has got himself into the chase scenario. And Casey Kane had an unfortunate incident, hasn't run very well, is struggling a little bit. Ryan Newman has a little bit of damage to a good race car that was going to be a top 5 race car. Now he's in trouble.
Bonus points, the points that they brought in from wins have become so important.
Yeah, it really is important. There's no doubt about that. We're getting ready to go green right now. But what about A.J. Allmendinger up to 10th in the points right now, looking really good too. Not like we thought would happen, but there's a lot of cool things going on right now.
Alan?
Green flag, Brian Vickers gets a good restart.
And that 42 showed up in the front again. We saw him battle these chase contenders all last weekend at Chicago. He's doing it once again.
It's a steady climb for the 42 team the whole day. They've just been incrementally just moving up, just one foot in front of the other. Now they're in 3rd.
Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, Jeff Gordon, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Look at Kenseth's car. It's beat up.
He's had somebody in his
bumper.
He's had somebody leaning on his left rear for about the last 4 restarts in a row.
Right now, Brian Vickers has somebody leaning on his left rear.
Yeah, Keselowski really wants to take control of this race, take control of these restarts. So he's going to work extremely hard right here, do what he can to get by this 55.
I talked to Paul Wolf this morning. I talked about what do you really have to gain from racing hard here today. He says momentum. He said I want to keep our momentum going in the right direction as he takes the lead from Brian Vickers. And he says, and it'll keep someone else from gaining momentum. Jamie, it looks like the car's running good so far today.
It is, and they're able to gamble, so that's exactly what they did on the last round of stops. They didn't take tires at all. They put 1 gallon of fuel in. That's all they needed. They're just telling their driver, take care of those tires, and so far it's working.
So from 22nd place at lap 204 to the race lead at 227, including a spin for Brad Keselowski.
Well, a crash, really. He got the wall, the left rear car got damaged. He's still able to get that baby out front and wheeling.
That's amazing.
That was a huge pass there because of all of these cautions that we had. You don't want to keep pushing the issue and putting yourself in that position. Now he's in control of these restarts, just where he wants to be. Obviously, everybody wants to be leading, but that meant a lot to him to make that pass.
So what's the play for Brian Vickers' team here, Andy? They last stopped at 171. All these guys around him have stopped at 212. Now you got another group of guys headed by Jimmy Johnson, who's back in 12th, that stopped at 222. What's the play for the 55?
They just had to be waiting on rain maybe to shorten this race, because for sure they're going to have to make another pit stop. And I feel like there's almost everyone on the racetrack now has kind of made their strategy work where they can make it to the end. Some have a little more cushion than others, like we talked about the 48, some of the cars that pitted under that last caution.
Now, is there any chance? He's had 30 laps of yellow since he pitted at 171. Is there any chance? I'll let you get your calculator out. You don't even need to get the calculator out. There's no chance he can make it.
No.
All right.
Well, seeing that, what happened before lap 200, and then watching your stat of what happens after lap 200, maybe they were saying, what the heck, we'll give it a try.
Yeah.
It still won't work.
27 Menard, 1 McMurray, 12th and 13th. And A.J. Allmendinger right behind them. Yes, back on the lead lap. Remember, called him out as a free pass before.
And sometimes it's just that one break that you get, and I'm speaking of this 47 team, that you get in a race that could propel you on. AJ does a great job, usually had a good run back in June at Dover, Delaware, so that could be the break this team needs just to move on. I was talking to AJ the other day. He said, hey, our goal is to see what we can do for the rest of this year. He said, we don't consider ourselves a Final Four at Homestead, but if we continuously get better, we can move up into the top 10 in the points because everybody is in play there, and that's just what their goals are.
Yeah, just the goal is to make the next round. What those drag racers say, we're going rounds. That's all he wants to do. Is if he can just go rounds, tell him what can happen for him.
So you saw Jeff Gordon get around Matt Kenseth for 4th. Here's Kevin Harvick trying to make up some lost ground. Harvick's led 99 of 233 laps in this one. Shuffled back a little bit ago, and now trying to make up the time.
Kind of keep an eye on this 2 car, the times and stuff that he's run. Now that he's out front, how much fuel is he going to be saving there to get himself in that position? And you can't really think about extended period of overtime or anything, but just to get yourself to that lap.
I've been watching his lap times, and he's still running really fast. He's running like 29 flats, so I don't think he's in that fuel conservation mode yet.
So Keselowski back out in front of this one for the first time since lap 37, when he got shuffled back by pit strategy. NASCAR Nonstop, presented by 5 Hour Energy. 66 to go at New Hampshire. We have had our share of bumps, bangs, and spins here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway today, in contrast to the tranquility of the river that runs through downtown. It's the Sylvania 300 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Race 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And a reminder, you can always go to NASCAR.com for your latest NASCAR information. 59 laps to go in this one. Brad Keselowski is out in front. And our aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. The overcast has returned. There are some showers on the radar, but none appear imminent to the racetrack. We should be good to the finish of this one. Knock on the wooden countertop in front of me as I say that.
And how these boys play these last few laps.
Yeah, and Brad Keselowski, really a story today. He's won the last 2 straight races, tried to win 3 in a row, and has had a remarkable rally. If you weren't with us earlier, he led the opening 37 laps from pole position, and then went from 1st to 15th on a set of pit stops when his team took 4 tires on a competition caution at lap 37, and everybody else about took right sides only. Then he got shuffled back on a restart, went all the way back to 22nd, worked his way back up into the top 5, then spun, worked his way back up now into the race lead. What a day. So many others involved in this chase grid have had their ups and downs on the day at New Hampshire too. Here's 3rd place just like they did at the finish of Chicagoland last Sunday. Jeff Gordon and Kyle Larson racing for a spot in the top 5.
Yeah, Gordon's been there a couple of times, and it's kind of got cut off a little bit a couple of times. If this race were to end right now, his tone may be a little different in his talk with the 42 driver of Kyle Larson than it was last week. But he really hasn't done anything wrong.
Now, I'll tell you what, they better get used to him being up front because he's going to be there for a long time.
I think it's been a nice pairing at Chip Ganassi Racing for Kyle Larson, the young rookie coming in, having Jamie McMurray there, who's still very fast and very capable of running well, and to give his input, but to have the speed and enthusiasm of Kyle Larson, this young man. It's been a great pairing, and you can see the results of both cars running in the top 10 solidly. I believe we have a caution once again.
Something's fallen off a race car on the backstretch. More debris. And now, huge break for Greg Biffle. At the last caution, Biffle got the free pass to get one of his 2 laps down back. Here he gets the next one back, and Greg Biffle is back on the lead lap with a chance to try and salvage something out of what's been a terrible day.
Yeah, the first time in a long time that any spots are going to make any difference for him, or passing cars is going to make any difference. They could mean points towards his championship hopes.
Greg was the only car 1 lap down now, and again comes back around to the lead lap here with 54 laps to go. So pit road going to be open here.
I expect Brian Vickers to come down pit road. He comes this time. You see some other cars, unexpected cars coming down pit road. Jeff Gordon,
wow. Doc?
Yeah, he said it's just really tight in the middle, loose off, can't get into grip. Going to be right side tires and a half around right rear. Going to top it off with fuel. He's gone. Mike.
And Brian Vickers, this caution comes at a good time. He could only go to lap 263 before running it dry. They'll go right sides only, and Sunoco race fuel on Vickers' car.
Joey Logano just too loose on the short run, wants a little bit of help. They work on the right side, fill him up with Sunoco fuel, and it will be a 4-tire stop for the 22 at Joey Logano.
Very interesting turn of events there, particularly thinking about with Jeff Gordon coming down pit road. So some track position just changed hands. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by 5 Hour Energy. .50 laps to go in the Sylvania 300. We're green.
Seen our first driver be able to keep up somewhat on that restart from the inside. That was Kyle Larson, giving Brad all he wanted through 1 and 2.
That 10 car. She was 6 on that restart, racing that 9 car of Ambrose. They were racing each other earlier in this run, and she had to move him for that spot.
Danica Patrick in the 10, Marcos Ambrose in the 9, looking ahead from Jimmy Johnson. Right front damage on the Patrick car there from the contact she had with Marcos Ambrose a little while ago, just before the yellow flag. Here's Brian Vickers looking to lead the charge of the cars that stopped under this yellow flag. Vickers restarted 12th with 50 laps to go. He's up to 8th. Trying to hold off Joey Logano and get by Jimmy Johnson. Better not waste any time getting by Johnson, because Logano looks like he's in a hurry.
Yes, getting that time that you can't be wasting time in making passes. You can't be nearly as patient as what you have been to this point.
Let's see if you can make that outside work.
Hey, you got 4 tires for a reason. You got to use them right now.
Oh, that's a great pass right there.
Outside of one, inside of another. Remember, it was back in 2002 that then track owner Bob Baer actually lowered the banking in the very inside lane of the racetrack to try and make the outside lane a little faster and have two equally competitive lanes. That makes that inside pass really tricky and challenging for drivers with just barely 2 degrees of banking in that bottom lane.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost off camber the other way as you drive on it. You can see that the 4 tires made up for that, being able to get a little better grip down on the bottom that the 22 of Logano had.
Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers racing for 8th and 9th spots. Jeff Gordon was with them coming down the pit lane. He's mired well back in the pack in 17th place. Here's Logano trying to get around both Jamie McMurray in the 1 and Marcos Ambrose in the 9. Ambrose with a wiggle.
Yeah, we'll see how the Jeff Gordon thing plays out. I'm really skeptical about it. I know they ran out of fuel here back in July late. And
trouble, one around in turn 2. Sorry, Dale. Corey LaJoie, caution flag. The 11th yellow flag of the race. And the 4th since lap 200.
Yeah, I think since lap 170, that's about all that we've had for a lot. A lot of good racing, though.
Guess he won that caution.
He's a little close on fuel for his driver.
Yeah, I think he's needing some of these caution laps, but I think it's a good break too for Logano. He's got a really fast car. I think his car's about the best I've seen it all day. Now he's able to restart again, see if he can get some more of these guys.
And it looks like he's going to be up on the outside, which is an advantage for him too.
So pit road open and Jeff Gordon is back in. Doc?
Got to put tires on it now. Jeff said the car just wasn't handling it well. The big concern before was fuel. Remember, they're running second back in July, run out of gas, finished 26. Wanted to make sure they were okay. They were about 8 laps shy on fuel. This time, 4 tires, got all 4 of them on, topped it off with fuel, and he's away.
Eric Almirola also in. It's Casey Kane. Austin Dillon is in. Clint Boyer. That's Casey Mears, lead lap car, 13. And Michael Annett in the 7. Michael not on the lead lap, he's a couple of laps down. So 1 to go when they come to the line. A moment to remind you that later on tonight, you can see the final eliminations of the AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals from down in Dallas Way, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And next weekend, it's on to Dover, the Nationwide Series Championship. Getting down to it. And they'll race at the Monster Mile Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. Next Sunday, the final race in the Challenger round. Who gets eliminated from the chase? Our telecast presented by Pennzoil from Dover next Sunday at 1 Eastern here on ESPN. So doubled up for the restart. So the guys up front, Keselowski, Larson, Kenseth, Harvick, last pitted at 2:12. They're saving all the fuel that they can.
Be good to the end right here. I mean, there's not going to be any left, I can tell you that. Unless we get more caution. Just green light checkers from here. Copy.
So behind them, those front 4, you've got a group of cars that stopped at 2:22. Headed by Jamie McMurray. Then you've got Joey Logano, who stopped at 2:47, leading the charge back through. Jeff Gordon now all the way back in 20th place after that last pit stop he made under this caution.
Big restart for Joey Logano. Who can he get by here to pick up a couple of spots to get himself in position to try to run these leaders down?
Larson with troubles getting going. 3 wide to the corner.
22 with that move right there. He just established himself maybe as the driver to beat before this is over.
Vickers hanging on. Little slide off of turn 2, gathered it up, maybe had some contact with Ambrose in the 9. See the smoke off the the left front of the 9 car. Oh, trouble there again. Stenhouse knocked into the wall a little bit off turn 4.
Yeah, that was Carl Edwards that had some contact there. Wow, what racing. Goodness.
Yeah, that left front's not going to last long on the 17 that way.
Yeah, you see Jeff Gordon back there after making that pit stop. He's having to look at all this.
Those 2 tires just did not agree with that 24 car. I agree with them coming back in for that time.
Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, second place. And Logano through. So now it's Penske 1-2. Keselowski and Logano first and second. Lap 251. 11 laps ago, he was 16th, was Joey Logano.
Well, we've seen tires really make a difference. All here in the truck race yesterday, and they're on the same tire, so as I watched that unfold some. So you knew it made a difference. I'm sure that Todd Gordon probably saw that too. Took a chance with his driver, knew that's what they needed to try to have a chance to win this and have a much more relaxed weekend at Dover. Next week, they got to see this coming.
Stenhouse into the wall. Yellow flag number 12.
Well, that's a hard lick right there.
We're done here.
Narrowed that car up.
Into the garage.
Here's the first damage. That was Ricky trying to stay off Kyle Busch and then ended up where Carl Edwards was coming up. I interpret that.
Yeah, it looked like that he didn't realize that he was clear of the 18 of Kyle Busch, so he was continuing down a little bit. Maybe Carl was coming up a little bit at the same time, and then that forced him into the outside wall. But that contact, that's what got you see the left front tire blowing out.
Another one of those that makes you shudder when you see it coming.
Yeah, you have a little bit more time with the left front because you still have some of the right front, but this is going to be hard.
Oh, wow. That was harder than Kurt Busch. I'm not sure he couldn't quite make it around to the pit road.
He didn't.
Yeah. So you can see both the tires are just going different directions, not able to steer.
So Stenhouse stopped inside the back straightaway. And the yellow flag out for the 12th time. And I feel fairly certain not the last.
And welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. On top of the pit box with the leader right now, Paul Wolf. Are you guys good enough on fuel?
Yeah, we've had enough cautions here, and he's able to save a little bit once we got the lead. So we're good. I think we probably got enough for one green-white checker as well, so he should be able to go hard all the way here.
His biggest threat right now is his teammate, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Look at this. 17 caution laps since it last pitted. Since lap 170, we're at 267 now, so less than 100 laps. We've had how many cautions? 10 yellow flags.
Okay, so just remember, we only had 2 when you mentioned that we hadn't had many cautions yet, but we would have more.
Oh, so this is my fault?
I'm just saying.
I just report the numbers, just the facts. Is this the last caution?
I don't know. Is it?
I think not, no.
There's been a trend. I'd say not. 32 laps to go. Team Penske drivers, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano in row 1. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson in row 2.
How good are those 4 tires? We'll see right here.
Oh, don't take out your team car.
Harvick looking for that opportunity.
Nice and smooth here.
Can he clear him?
Kevin Harvick out front. Logano tried to make that inside lane work. Had to ease out of it, and Keselowski and Harvick went by them both. Now can they do anything about it?
Yeah, I'm sure Harvick would have been glad just to have held on to third there on that restart, knowing that he was on the inside. Great opportunity, but they're 4 wide going into turn 3 back over there. I'm watching.
And one around, Paul Menard.
And
Matt Kenseth. Another chase driver in trouble at New Hampshire.
All clear.
That was a race for 6th place, gone foul.
I think Kenseth got a lot of damage to that 20 car.
Wow.
Well, we've seen all day trying to utilize that bottom groove where we've talked about there's just no banking there. Cars get loose, especially on tires that have had quite a few heat cycles here. Kenseth obviously the big loser there. Oh yeah, hard impact.
Wow.
Coming there, keep coming, they're outside, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, door. Caution's out, inside, he's loose, get away from him there. Checking up here now, there you go, inside.
Matt Kenseth was 10th in the standings starting this race. And remember, after next Sunday at Dover, 12th is the cutoff.
All of these things happening just going to be, just put so many people right there in that, around that 12th spot.
It really is. So they work on the 20 car and try and get him in rolling mode. But it doesn't look like they're in a terribly big hurry on that one. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick's now the race leader, Mike.
And not too long ago, Rodney Childers basically estimated that you might be about a lap and a half short. But now you've got a couple of cautions. Are you good?
Yeah, all good on fuel now. You know, it's just coming down to green, white checker, saving for them. But everybody on this Budweiser Chevy's done an excellent job all day. Kevin did a really good job on that restart. But we're just trying to hold these guys off, try to finish it out.
With so much at stake and so much to lose, how aggressive can he be in this situation?
Well, I mean, when you're the leader, you got a little bit of advantage on these restarts. So, you know, hopefully you can get out front and kind of control the lead. And when you can control the race, you're in much better shape. So, you know, hopefully we can keep doing that.
Alan?
All right, Mike. Yeah, for what's been going on behind him.
Yes.
That's the place to be.
And now beside him.
Yeah.
Look at all the drivers involved in the chase grid that have had some problems today.
It's been a good day for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Now all 3 of their cars. And there's the bubble as they stand now, with still 27 laps of racing left in this one. Look how tight it's going to be around that 12th spot headed to Dover.
And that Denny Hamlin that's closed up, he was back in 14th, about 11, 12 points back of that 12th place cutoff at one time. So all of this stuff happening has certainly benefited that driver and team.
So Kevin Harvick now leads Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson behind him. 27 to go.
You see Harvick wait right to the very end of that restart zone before he took off.
Joey Logano gave the 2 car big push. Almost turned Brad around.
Allmendinger looking 3 wide. Oh, contact there.
Big run by Logano.
Larson nipped Keselowski a little bit. Logano's going to go through to the lead. Can he hold it?
That's a matter of just having much better tires. Great driving by Logano, but he's got an advantage with those 4 tires.
So Joey Logano in command of this one. Looking to see if he can clear himself through into the second round of the chase. Yeah, it's intense back there, huh?
Goodness. Now that things have settled down up front, looking back through
after about 10th or 11th spot. It's just crazy.
Yeah, there.
You see cars all torn up, and they're 2 and 3 wide going into the corners.
Pushing each other, shoving each other. There's Greg Biffle, 22nd place. Made up 2 laps with 2 free passes. And now each position he gains is worth something to him. Casey Kane there, the nose of his 5, all beaten in from a wreck earlier off turn 2. By the way, Matt Kenseth lost a lap in his time on pit road, and he's back in 26th place. Jeff Gordon around Dale Jr.
Yeah, that's 4 tires.
Yeah, 7th place there, sorry.
Sorry, Alan. These 4 tires on this Jeff Gordon car may prove to be very, very beneficial to him before this is over.
And a little plunk and thunk there. We checked back in on. Let's see, Martin Truex, 78 there. Got 2 free passes, back on the lead lap. Landon Castle got the free pass at the last caution. Leaves him 1 lap down, he and Kenseth. What a crazy day. Well, for Joey Logano, the difference between he and Harvick, you talked about the tires, DJ. Logano stopped at 247, Harvick at 212. So those 35 laps, difference in the freshness of the rubber on those cars.
You know, as much as anything, probably the heat cycles that the 4 car and the 2 car have on their tires from that point has made as big a difference, because there's been a lot of cautions in those 35 laps, but it's those heat cycles that really change the tires and the attitude of them and what they do.
But if you're Kevin Harvick and you're not able to close this one out, maybe the disappointment very much tempered by another solid finish, setting you up for more comfort at Dover than a lot of others are going to have.
I don't think Harvick's going to be disappointed at all. It's not like he dominated this race and this is when he, is going to let slip away. I mean, he's been in contention all day, and he's still got a chance to win. But he knows that this just needs to be a solid race for him to make the next cut. I think he's looking at the bigger picture right now.
There are a laundry list of circumstances under which a driver can clinch a place through into the next round of the chase today by various circumstances. It's a long list, and it's full of if, then, this, and I'm not going to even try and sort that out while we've still got 19 laps to go in this race. But if Harvick doesn't clinch his way through, he'll be in awfully good shape for next Sunday if things finish as they are now.
What a day this could be for Penske Racing, though, to get both of their cars through to the next round. If this should finish out like this, again, a lot of racing, a lot of things could happen here.
And Harvick, with his second place finish, will virtually lock himself in before they go to Dover. That's what I think. I think Harvick's just kind of big picture racing right now. He just, he sees that, I'd like to win if it's there. And he's been in contention all day long, but the circumstances just hadn't worked in his favor. Gordon, those tires he took now, making another pass.
That's up to 6th place for Jeff. Remember, he was as low as, 17th a little while ago.
Yeah, and certainly got his sights set on Jimmy Johnson, who's up in that 5th spot, teammate. And I think his tires are good enough to get him there and probably make that pass.
Got another caution. He'll have the freshest tires starting 6th. He'll be able to be in a good position to make up more spots.
Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, 13th and 14th.
Certainly not the day that Carl Edwards was wanting and needing, but he's basically kept himself pretty much out of trouble. And if he can continue on and finish somewhere around the spot that he's running, even though he's losing one more here, he'll be in a pretty good position going to Dover.
Won't be comfortable, but it'll be one of those where something will have to go wrong at Dover.
I think the biggest thing is you get yourself in that position, then you control your destiny.
Yeah,
you can do that, and that's what you want as a driver and team.
So Carl Edwards running now in 14th place. Now the story of this one, two-pronged, yellow fever, by all means. 13 cautions for 56 laps in this one, and most of them after lap 170. And the other story, the number of drivers involved in the chase that have been involved in those cautions today. Look at Kyle Busch's car. And yet, he's running in 19th place.
Still on the lead lap.
Kyle swept up in a multi-car incident off of turn number 2. That was back at lap 188. It was back at lap 188. It was 2 pages ago on my notes. That's why I hesitated there. That's how much stuff's happened in these last 100 laps. But this will be a day they look at as, wow, got away with that one.
Yeah, because if he can stay in this position, he'll have a pretty good cushion going into Dover next week.
Well, you talk about a team effort, and that's what's happened with that 18, of getting that repaired enough to stay on the lead lap and be inside the top 20.
We talked about Gordon catching Jimmy Johnson. Here it is for 5th place. If they run it out as they are now, both these drivers putting themselves in really good shape for Dover next Sunday. Again, nothing guaranteed, but in good shape. And as Doc reported earlier on Gordon, they were in a position a little while ago where after running out of fuel, getting ready for a green-white checker here at the July race, they just didn't want to take a chance on it. Came in and got some fuel and made sure they were good to go to the finish.
Yeah, and because the car didn't handle too well when they came in and did that, got 2 tires, they elected to make another stop right after that and put 4 tires on this car, get it back to the really solid car that Jeff had driven all day long.
There for just a second, coming off of 4. What do we make it?
Locked it up.
Troubles. Oh, goodness, what a turn of events that is.
Clear. Yellow.
I heard him lift off the throttle like he thought he might have had a problem.
4 tires, 4 tires.
Wow.
It's hard to believe.
That is. So Jeff Gordon added to the list of chase drivers.
Tires, clearance, and tires on. Just do right side.
With troubles today. When he came up off of turn 4, it looked like the front end of the car slid, and he checked up off it. I just didn't expect to see that when he got to 1.
No, I thought it was just more of an arrow situation of being behind the 48. Maybe he had picked up the throttle early and got a big run, and that's why it didn't turn there.
Goes.
I thought at first when I saw that it happened that maybe he had just gotten in a little hot and a little high and had locked up the brakes, but you could obviously see that wasn't the case. Right along.
All right, we're in a wall here.
Wow, just see how it throws the car off the ground. Gordon did manage to get the pit road and everything and get 2 right side tires on it and back out, still on the lead lap at this time. Not a lot of laps left. Just try to limp around, and
that right front doesn't look very healthy, does it?
No, he'll be limping around.
Yeah, it looks terrible is what it looks.
Jeff's probably filling it out right there to see exactly what he's got.
although he wasn't up to full speed there, it'd give him a good idea of what they may need to do.
Well, Jeff, the latest in a list of drivers that have had pretty big hits today here at New Hampshire, all of whom have driven away, but Kurt Busch earlier, look at the left sides of that car, picked up off the ground by the crash. Ricky Stenhouse.
Another hard grip. Can't feel good.
And then this one with Jeff Gordon inside 10 to go.
All right, we're in a wall here.
What a stunning turn of events, Doc.
Yeah, what an amazing last few laps. Jeff Gordon had come in for the 4 tires, restarted 20th, was driving into 5th position. The team says he radioed and said he cut a right front tire, and that's when he slammed the wall. They're trying to repair the damage. They're going to come back in again and pull the fender away. Alan Gustafson just can't believe he thought the strategy might work. 4 tires, restart, get enough time to get there, and he was headed for 5th place when this happened.
To quote Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. And in that vein, besides for Jeff Gordon, now we've doubled up for another restart to decide who wins the race. I refuse to take blame for this, Andy.
We're closing in on a record.
That's amazing.
Hard, close racing, and might not be finished yet.
So we're going to go racing with 5 laps to go.
Drivers with a lot of old tires on right here. Even Logano's aren't that good anymore now with the heat cycles that he's put in, as hard as he was running to get the lead there.
Just waved off the restart. You see all the gaggle of cars right of the screen. They're trying to get everybody lined up in the right place, because those points and positions will mean a lot when we get done with these final 4 or so laps. So a moment to remind you about the upcoming events in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Boy, what it's going to mean next Sunday at Dover, when 4 drivers are eliminated at the end of the first round of the chase, the Challenger round. Kansas begins the next round, Kansas, Charlotte, and of course Talladega in the second round of the chase. Then Martinsville, Texas, and Phoenix to decide the final 4 for the championship round at Homestead Miami Speedway, the heads-up race for the title between the 4 finalists. Join us at the track, NASCAR.com/tickets, or the number at the bottom of the screen.
I'm almost thinking Talladega a big calm compared to what we've seen today.
Yeah, I'm just thinking after the way last Sunday at Chicagoland unfolded, then the way this one's unfolded, and we've still got 4 laps to go in this one. Look at that bubble, and look how much closer Aric Almirola is than he was when the day started. He was 23 out when it started.
Yeah, he's got his opportunity to race his way into this thing. He's up inside the top 10, I believe, right now. 9th
place. So here we go, 4 laps to go, barring any overtime racing that's needed to decide it. With Joey Logano controlling the restart from the outside lane, Kevin Harvick to his inside.
Harvick really spinning the tires there. Finally got it going. Looked like he's going to hold on to second, though. That really jammed things up behind him. Here comes Jimmy Johnson.
Look at this.
Just the disadvantage of being down the inside.
Well, there's one around Tony Stewart in a cloud of smoke. No pun intended, sorry. Truly, no pun intended.
It was 38.
So, yellow flag number 15, and we're going to have some extra racing in this one.
And that's probably not a good thing for the 4 and the 2 and maybe 42. Even though we've had a lot of caution laps, they have to be getting close on fuel.
Yes, out of that whole group.
Like Tony he might have got a little bit of help right there.
38 car, maybe?
Possible.
Was not a great day for Tony in 27th place, down a couple of laps. And so we'll line it up again for some extra racing. How many times have we seen restart after restart where a guy gets it right, but then he gets faced with another challenge? Kevin Harvick had difficulties on that last restart. You can't, if you're Logano, you can't count on him struggling this time as much as he did last time.
No, but Logano's been really, really good on that restart from the outside, the times that we've seen back earlier in the race and now that he's taking control of this. Harvick, I think, is just really wanting to get this race over with. He's going to take second. You don't want to settle for second, but I guarantee if you ask Kevin Harvick, he'd like, hey, can we get to the checkered flag? Let me go on to Dover and with my points position that I've got and see if I can win that race.
Didn't think we'd see any takers with the opening of pit road here. Landon Castle will come back around onto the lead lap with his second consecutive free pass. And while they finish the cleanup, we check in over in the pit studio with Nicole, Rusty, and Brad. What an eventful day.
I think we're all sitting on the edges of our seats here at
yes, we are.
the ESPN pit studio. We simply don't really know what's going to happen. It seems like we've seen everything here today.
Yeah.
And now we get bonus time.
Great, let's do it.
Not bad. So here's how it's all played out today. A lot of chasers have had issues, starting with Denny Hamlin. This has probably been the biggest issue of the day.
This was really, really crazy right here. The fuel receiver come loose and almost fell out of the car. They couldn't refuel the car. It's a big issue for him.
Big wreck. Then took out Hamlin and put him out even further. He's on the track now, but 38 laps.
Yeah, terrible accident in front of him. Got mixed up in somebody else's mess. That fuel receptacle put him in that position, so it was a bad day all around.
More problems for Joe Gibbs Racing. This one involving Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, Kyle gets in the back of his teammate, Matt Kenseth, tears the car all to pieces in the front. Doesn't hit the wall, though. Saves it. He does pretty good there. Right now, he's running 12th.
Kurt Busch had problems on pit road.
Yep, had a lug nut that was not tight. Had to come back down pit road, then was running and had a right front tire go down. The fender got into it and just, right into the wall. Didn't destroy the car, but tore it up pretty darn bad. He's 35
One of
laps.
the harder hits of the day.
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth just piling on to the day that has been for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, he spun the car, got down the corner, and just tore it all up, too. Big damage on the left-hand side of Matt Kenseth's car. You get the picture now, all the chasers are having problems.
Oh, man, and this was probably the biggest surprise. Jeff Gordon, out of nowhere.
That really stunned us because we saw fenders down on these other cars that cut these tires down and got to the wall. He's just tooling along, good spot, and all of a sudden right front tire goes down, he hits the fence.
So here we are, extra time, bonus time. It's Joey Logano out front, followed by Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick was in this situation in the July race. What happened? He ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen now. We got plenty of fuel, plenty of cautions. These guys are going to drive their brains out the last couple laps here.
Hang on.
Joey Logano's bad at the bone in these restarts. So.
Hang on, Alan, because it's going to be good.
Well, here we go, Nicole. Green, white checker. Wave the green flag race if the leader gets back to the white flag without the caution waving again. We're in the final lap of the race, and the next flag ends it. Joey Logano outside, Kevin Harvick inside. Ready to decide it at New Hampshire. Kyle Larson is going to get through Harvick to second, and they're 4 wide behind him.
Coming to the white.
Last lap.
Yes, sir.
Logano's gotten away. As anybody's chase take an unexpected turn in the last mile. Harvick nips Larson, trying to get second place from him. Checker flag is up. Joey Logano through to the next round of the chase with a win at New Hampshire. What a finish.
Great job, Joey. God, everybody. Restart. Awesome job. Awesome. Get the lobster. Lobster time, baby. Woo! You guys are the best. You.
Well, he got the last restart right. He got the last restarts right. Joey Logano, our Goodyear Superior performer today, advances on into the second round of the chase with a win in his native New England. Logano is originally from Middletown, Connecticut. Spent some time there this week raising money for a transitional shelter that he and his foundation support with the folks back home. Now came up before many of those hometown fans and scored a huge win. His 7th Sprint Cup Series win, his 4th win of this year, and he'd never won more than one in a year until this season. So there's the chase grid. Keselowski and Logano, Team Penske, with both of their cars through into the second round by virtue of winning the first 2 races in the chase.
That's basically 9 cars that are going to be racing for those spots there. But I think, even Gordon, I mean, yeah, that's a difficult spot, but you can see Almirola there, only 10 points outside of that 12th spot.
Move Logano through from the Challenger round into the second round of the chase, and one more spot available for a winner next week at Dover. The rest to be filled in based on points. While Joey comes back around to the winner's circle, let's hear from some of the other top finishers today. Mike?
Kevin Harvick led over 100 laps today and recorded a top 3 finish. Didn't get the victory that you were looking for, but big picture, looks like you're in pretty good shape heading to Dover.
Yeah, just proud of everybody on our Budweiser Chevrolet. Got the designated driver program on there this week, so everybody drink responsibly. But just a good day for us. We had a fast car. Track position is tough, and it wound up being really hard racing there. And Brad moved me out of the way and got up out of the groove and wound up getting second. And then at the end there, just a NASCAR must not be able to see the lines on the restart there. And 22 was way early all day. But all in all, did what he had to do and just enjoy racing that hard.
Kevin Harvick brings it home third this afternoon, Doc.
And Brad Keselowski climbing out of his car. Brad, you led 78 laps, had issues, spun, hit the wall, restart 22nd, and somehow come back and have a shot to win this thing. How does that happen?
Well, thanks, Jerry, but we did have a shot, and Miller Lite Ford was pretty good. We just missed it a little bit today on a few things, and I don't think I ran the perfect race either, so it was a good adversity day, to fight through a lot of that. And geez, it had to be a record for the amount of yellows, and it seemed like a restart. I just couldn't quite go, but decent day, and I didn't get the win we were looking for, but still have a lot to be proud of.
Finishing 7th, Brad K. Alan?
Joey Logano has made his way into victory lane. They're about to hand him a rather large crustacean. And our victory lane is presented by 5 Hour Energy.
He wins at his home track, and as Joey Logano just says on the radio, this is my worst track. On lap 247, when Todd Gordon called for 4 tires, did you know that would be the strategy move of the day?
No, I thought we gave it away at that point, but man, 4 tires were good, and we had some good restarts and was able to get ourselves back up there. And here to work hard. This is my home racetrack. It's the coolest place to win for me. I could never pick a better racetrack to win. I watched my first Cup race here when I was 5, and I won that other Cup race here, and I just felt like I had to win one the right way here, and this means so much. Just got to thank all the boys at Team Penske. We're doing what we got to do to win this thing right now, and both teams are, and I'm proud of that. And obviously Shell and Pennzoil and AAA, Hertz, PPG, Coca-Cola, man, Sprint, everyone. This is this is like I don't know, to me it's my home track, so it means so much to me.
Joey, you were the restart master today. The 15th caution comes out. 4 laps to go. What's going through your mind?
Well, the caution came out. I had a lot of things I can't say right now on TV that came on my mind, but we were able to have some good restarts. You guys did a good job setting this thing up and gave me something to win with today. And man, I went to sleep last night hoping for a top 5, and it would be good for me at this track, and because it's not one of my key places, and that's why it means so much to win here.
You are guaranteed. You're going into the next round. How does that sound?
It feels good. Yeah, it feels great to go on to the next one. We got to keep doing what we're doing, though. We got to keep our eye on the prize and think about the big trophy at the end.
All right, Joey Logano wins his 4th race of the year. It's been an awesome ride so far for this 22 team, Alan.